Chapter 1592. After the Emperor Pavilion experienced this calamity, it was like it had broken out of a cocoon and was reborn. Its popularity grew more and more. Because of Di Tian's fame, as well as the scandal of the governor's manor, everyone in Lifire City knew about the Emperor Pavilion. As time passed, the Emperor Pavilion grew stronger and stronger. Everyone in the central city regions could already predict that there would be another new superpower rising up. Also, this new superpower had no support from any aristocratic clan. There was only a single person, Grandmaster D. Time flowed by, the Emperor Pavilion underwent several expansions. The number of experts in the Emperor Pavilion grew more and more, and the space it occupied was expanded by more than 10 times. Right now, looking down from the air, numerous majestic buildings could be seen, and there was an endless flow of people. Many people were conducting transactions in the Emperor Pavilion, and the place with the most activity was undoubtedly the auction house. Every time an auction was held, a huge commotion would occur. Right now, the number of people coming to the Emperor Pavilion to seek treasures was countless. Today, Qin Wendian walked through the Emperor Pavilion's trading market, staring at the crowd as a faint smile appeared on his face. He didn't expect that the Emperor Pavilion would develop so well. In just a short span of a few decades, the Emperor Pavilion had already grown to such a scale. In fact, it was already faintly comparable to the other top-tier auction houses in the northern city regions. The popularity of the Emperor Pavilion wasn't inferior to the auction houses controlled by the Han and Wei clans. During these years, you and the Grand Supervisor have worked hard. Di Tian spoke in a light voice. There was a beautiful immortal emperor beside him. It was none other than the eldest miss of the Mo clan, Mo Junyi. During these years, it was mainly Mo Fei who managed the Emperor Pavilion with Mo Junyi assisting him. As for him, as the Pavilion Lord, he spent most of his time on weapon forging and cultivation, rarely managing the affairs of the Emperor Pavilion. You don't have to thank me. If it wasn't for you supporting us from the back, the Emperor Pavilion wouldn't have today. Mo Junyi spoke from the bottom of her heart, her beautiful eyes filled with worship when she stared at Di Tian. She truly admired Di Tian. Right now, the divine weapons created by Di Tian were no longer limited to sealing-type divine weapons. Although sealing-type divine weapons were very powerful and the demand for them was very high, the Emperor Pavilion also needed the stimulation of other types of divine weapons. And Di Tian would often be able to forge some extraordinary divine weapons, causing people to have high expectations of the Emperor Pavilion. The rules set by Di Tian back then, the strategy of the auction house also played an extraordinary role. Am I the hands-off boss? Di Tian laughed self-mockingly. Don't forget, back then when our Emperor Pavilion was in danger, everyone thought that our Emperor Pavilion would collapse. Although I don't know what you did at that time, you did your best to turn the tides. Most probably, the reason why the serving girl of the palace lord came to our Emperor Pavilion to mock us was also because of your scheming. Qin Wendian smiled. Mo Junyi smiled. After that crisis, she and Mo Fei had made many guesses but they still couldn't figure out what Di Tian had done exactly. Alright, you don't have to continue praising me. Let's hope the Emperor Pavilion gets better and better. Di Tian laughed. The Lifire Palace was one of the 9 world palaces of the lifelong realm. There were also 9 monarchs under the Lifire Palace who were in charge of all the mines and resources in the lifelong realm. However, the Lifire Empyrean himself also controlled some mines and these mines were extremely important. His control over them was much stronger compared to monarchs. If not, the Lifire Empyrean wouldn't be in charge of them personally. The Eclipse Mine was one of the main mines controlled by the Lifire Empyrean. The Lifire Empyrean's trusted subordinates would personally supervise the mining. The Eclipse Mine vein was located in a mountain range 10,000 miles away from Lifire City. The terrain here was extremely complicated and the entire mountain range was heavily guarded. In fact, there were many powerful formations hidden within. If one dared to barge in recklessly, they would definitely die a terrible death. Just the formations here alone were enough to prevent immortal emperors from entering, never to exit. As for bandits, even for supreme bandits, they wouldn't dare to touch the Eclipse Mine easily. This mine not only had extremely strong defenses, there was even a two-way teleportation array that led directly to the Livefire Empyrean. As long as something happened here, the Livefire Empyrean would be able to rush over in the shortest amount of time. Those who dared to barge in here were simply courting death. But even with such tight defenses, there were still many immortal emperors guarding the Eclipse Mine. The one in the lead was a trusted aide of the Livefire Empyrean, the younger brother of the palace lord's wife. Within the mountain range, there were many caves that led to the depths of the mountain range. There were also some spatial gates hidden in the darkness that led directly to the mine. The true Eclipse Mine was boundlessly vast, like a constellation. There was simply no end to it. Terrifying law energy flowed within the mine, causing the entire mine to be dark red in color and extremely hot. The temperature of this mine was very high and it was extremely dangerous. Hence, the cultivation bases of the people in this mine were all very high. Only immortal kings and above had the qualifications to come here to mine for ores. If one stood in the air and looked down, they would be able to see an incomparably vast dark red land with black flames radiating from it. Resplendent beams of light could be seen everywhere, shooting up into the sky. These were all signs of the appearance of emperor-ranked stones. In the Eclipse Mine, even emperor-ranked stones could be seen frequently. It wasn't rare at all. Right now, Qin Wentian was in the Eclipse Mine. The Eclipse Mine vein wasn't the same as the one in the Jialan monarch's territory. It would only be opened once every 10 years, but it would be opened once every year. The reason was because the ores in this mine were simply too precious. Even if the ores were only excavated once every year, the value would still be extremely terrifying. No mistakes were allowed. Hence, Qin Wentian wasn't worried that he would miss the chance to report back to the Livefire Palace once every 10 years. In truth, during these tens of years, other than killing 3 vice-governors using iron-blooded methods, he was as low profile as what the outside world said. Many people said that he was the same as many governors in the past, doing his best to avoid trouble in case he offended the Jialan clan. Hence, he decided to go into closed-door seclusion, not stepping out of the governor's manor. During these years, he spent all his energy on cultivation, but it wasn't purely because he was in closed-door seclusion. He would often roam the outside world to temper himself, and right now, he was even mining in the Eclipse Mine. Naturally, he didn't come here with his original identity, he was in disguise. At this moment, he was traversing the mine, his speed was extremely fast. Occasionally, he would see Emperor light flashing and he would rush over to snatch the Emperor-ranked stones. His entire person exuded a cold aura. Michem. At this moment, Qin Wentian felt as though he was in an illusion. He inclined his head and stared into the distance only to see a resplendent beam of light radiating forth, illuminating the entire space. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed as he directly soared through the air with an inconceivable speed. Very swiftly, he arrived at the location where the beam of light originated from. The light was dark red in color, but it was terrifyingly bright. The entire sky seemed to be dyed red in color as the light cascaded downwards. In front of him, there was a dark red stone that seemed to be absorbing the essence of heaven and earth. The terrifying red light radiating from it directly pierced through the sky, resembling a torrent of destruction from hell, shooting up into the clouds. Many experts came, but they were all very far away. No one dared to get close. Those who tried to get close earlier were already incinerated into ashes. Arg! A scream of misery rang out. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. He only saw an immortal nearing the stone. Just as he neared the boundary of the light, his entire body was instantly engulfed in flames. From the ground up, that immortal was directly incinerated into nothingness. Boom! An extremely terrifying immortal emperor stepped forward, moving towards the center of the tempest. Terrifying laws of earth could be felt from his body, enveloping him. His entire person was like an indestructible rock. Emperor light from the sky shone down on him as he moved closer step by step, brimming with a strong will. A beam of dark red light slammed into that immortal emperor's body of laws. It was like a strange flower of darkness, instantly penetrating his body of laws. The black flames directly seeped into his body. That immortal emperor screamed in agony, wanting to retreat, but how could he have the chance? The flames instantly engulfed him, and in an instant, a black gas could be seen drifting in the air. That immortal emperor's body had already completely vanished. No one dared to get close anymore. They all stared at the stone like they were looking at a devil. Qin Wentian's face was also filled with shock. This was the power of the minds in the supreme ancient immortal realms. Sometimes, the treasures that appeared were so terrifying that it caused people to feel despair. An immortal emperor who had cultivated for countless years might even be inferior to a stone, able to directly destroy you. Transcending Emperor's Stone. Someone at the side spoke as his heart pounded. Qin Wentian's gaze was incomparably hot. He had to obtain it no matter what. However, for such a terrifying treasure, even if it was an interspatial ring, it would be instantly incinerated. How could he obtain it? There were experts who sent out palm imprints, wanting to use law energy to bury this terrifying stone before keeping it. However, their palm imprints were the same, directly destroyed. With an intention of his will, Qin Wentian's spatial energy slowly gushed forth, wanting to isolate the destructive red storm. But when the spatial law energy descended, it was similarly destroyed. There was no way for him to block it. In the airspace above the mine, more and more experts flew over. These were the protectors of the Eclipse Mine. They were clad in dark red armor and exuded an imposing aura. There were even immortal emperors whose eyes gleamed with a terrifying light. Should we inform the outside world? Someone asked. Let's give it a try first. If it doesn't work, we will inform the palace lord. The person in the lead had a sharp look on his face as he stared at the terrifying dark red storm ahead. It felt like the end of the world had arrived. That dark red light continued expanding, corroding everything. This transcending Emperor's Stone was truly difficult to obtain. Only Empyrean-level characters had the qualifications to use it for cultivation. In fact, they couldn't even tell the exact grade of the stone. Chapter 1593. Seems like this place has long been burned clean. Qin Wentian mumbled. He then asked, was this or discovered recently? In that case, what was it that blocked its energy from being unleashed before? Right now, the once-a-decade tribute day had arrived again. However, the northern governor's manor was completely deserted. No one took the initiative to come here to pay tribute. It was so quiet that it caused people to feel a sense of pressure. However, the people of the governor's manor were already used to it. Tell Su Li to gather people and prepare to move out. Qin Wentian calmly spoke. The butler at the side felt his heart trembling violently. Were they going to act now? They silently returned to the northern governor's manor. This governor's manor that had been silent for tens of years was as quiet as before, like it didn't exist at all. In fact, it was gradually ignored by many major powers in the northern city regions. The influence of the governor's manor was simply too weak, so weak that even some minor powers didn't come here to pay tribute. Even if they took the initiative to go to the northern governor's manor to collect the tribute, it wasn't easy. The northern governor's manor only existed in name. Pay immediately. Su Li couldn't be bothered to waste words. He directly spoke, his tone cold to the extreme. Did I ask you a question? Qin Wentian glanced over. When the butler saw that pair of eyes, he felt his entire body shivering. He was as silent as a cicada in winter and directly shut his mouth. The formation of the transcending Emperor's Stone requires special conditions. If we compare it to humans, it's like breaking through from the Empyrean realm to the Empyrean realm. This was why it could erupt forth with such terrifying destructive might. Before this, its power might not have been fully formed yet. An immortal emperor at the side spoke, staring ahead. This type of offensive transcending Emperor's Stone, no immortal emperor would be able to take it away. The immortal emperor beside him nodded. Qin Wentian didn't say anything more. He found a place to sit down as his immortal sense gushed forth, quietly sensing this energy. He didn't attempt to test it out. Although he was extraordinary, Qin Wendian didn't feel that he would be stronger than all immortal emperors. Such destructive might wasn't something he could come into contact with. The loophole of this ancient river auction house is the most obvious. Evil Emperor, what do you think about taking them as an example? Qin Wendian spoke in a low voice, as though he was speaking of an insignificant matter. The butler at the side felt his heart pounding violently as he replied in a low voice, "Governor, the power behind the ancient river auction house is extremely terrifying. In addition, the Jialan clan is behind this." What does the governor's manner mean by this? Old He's eyes turned completely cold as he asked icily. Could it be that he really wanted to touch them? So, this or is not fated with us? Qin Wendian asked in a low voice. During these 10 years, my transaction pavilion has encountered many troubles, but we've never disturbed the governor's manor before. We would handle everything ourselves and the scale of our transactions hasn't changed at all. Governor Su, don't you think it's a little inappropriate for you to suddenly say that my transaction pavilion is a third-tier power? The shopkeeper coldly spoke. Governor Su, these transaction pavilions all depend on my ancient river auction house to survive. If you guys cause such a ruckus, wouldn't it affect the business of my auction house? Old He spoke, sounding a little unhappy. Vice Governor Su, we aren't prepared yet. Can we slow things down and go to the ancient river auction house to collect the tributes first? The shopkeeper of the transaction pavilion smiled. Many people in the surroundings had smiles on their faces as well, but they didn't say anything. Ancient river auction house. Since when did the governor's manor dare to collect the tributes from the ancient river auction house? Governor Su, what do you mean by this? The shopkeeper's eyes turned cold, feeling extremely unhappy. Old He, these people from the governor's manor actually want to upgrade our transaction pavilion? We have to pay 10 times the amount of tributes. A shopkeeper glanced at the immortal emperor as he spoke. If we make a move against the ancient river auction house, it would indeed save us a lot of trouble. The other powers would all see this and there's naturally no need for us to act. The evil emperor nodded lightly, agreeing with Qin Wendian's opinion. In the dossier room of the governor's manor, Qin Wendian quietly flipped through the dossier. Beside him, the butler, serving girls and the evil emperor were all present. You. The shopkeeper pointed at Su Li in anger, his entire body was trembling from anger. Seems like this Su Li came here prepared. Was he using them to establish his might? When they saw the experts from outside, all of them were clad in the governor's manor's robes. At this moment, no matter who it was, they all understood that something was wrong. Many major characters in the supreme ancient immortal realms didn't excavate the entire mine but chose to excavate it slowly instead. This should be one of the reasons. Qin Wendian's eyes flashed. Ores could absorb the essence of heaven and earth, even the radiance of the stars could gradually transform. How miraculous was this? The shopkeeper's gaze instantly froze as his smile stiffened. He lowered his head and glanced at the amount of tributes. A third-grade power compared to a fourth-grade power would have to pay 10 times more. Not yet. During these years, we followed the governor's orders and secretly sent people to investigate. Because the various hegemonic powers no longer have any wariness towards the governor's manor, the things they did were extremely brazen and could even be said to be filled with loopholes. As long as we send these people, we would be able to easily find out what happened in the ancient river auction house. The butler replied. Right. The evil emperor didn't say anything more. He only nodded and walked out. During these years, the time he interacted with Qin Wendian was very short. This new governor, other than killing the 3 vice-governors back then, rarely appeared in his line of sight. But every time he appeared, he would give off an intense sense of pressure. Back then, he was very clear about the death of the 3 vice-governors. Such a character had endured for tens of years and also secretly sent people to gather information on the various hegemonic powers as well as the methods they used in the dark. Once he acted, what would the situation be like? He quietly sensed this marvelous energy for a very long time. Until the time limit of a year was up, the live-fire Empyrean still didn't appear, allowing the ore to unleash its shocking might. To a palace lord, there were simply too many places he controlled. Even if an ore of this level appeared, it wasn't sufficient for him to personally make a trip there. If that was the case, wouldn't he have no time to cultivate and could only be busy with trivial matters? It's not that they don't have any wariness. More accurately, they basically don't care about the governor's manor's existence. Qin Wendian laughed, as though he was mocking himself. However, when the butler saw Zhang Junyi's face, his heart involuntarily trembled. Did the governor's manor want to target the ancient river auction house? Every time the butler thought of this, he would feel his hair standing on end. Most probably, someone was going to be in for a bad time. The crowd was whispering to each other. Just as they were speaking, Su Li had already brought his men over, his eyes gleaming with a cold light. After a short moment, they arrived at a trading pavilion. The shopkeeper inside smiled as he glanced at Su Li. After that, he shifted his gaze elsewhere, completely treating Su Li like air. The ancient river auction house was located in the center of the transaction pavilions. There were many people coming and going, it was extremely lively. At this moment, many people from the auction house were rushing over here, wanting to spectate. What was going on with the governor's manor this time around? It seemed like something big was about to happen. Look, the people from the governor's manor are here. At this moment, someone glanced ahead only to see a group of experts walking over. They were all clad in the governor's manor's robes. Su Li glanced at them but he didn't say anything. At this moment, a group of experts rushed over from outside. At the same time, a powerful aura descended from the air as a group of experts appeared. The person in the lead was none other than the evil emperor. They only have this little bit of ability. Even that governor has to tuck his tail between his legs. What can the other people in the governor's manor do? Most probably, they were frightened by the soul-slaying formation back then. Su Li walked into the transaction pavilion and calmly spoke, "The governor's manor is here to collect the tributes." I almost forgot, it's the day of collecting the tributes again. These people from the governor's manor don't do proper things but are actually very proactive in collecting the tributes. Someone laughed. Qin Wendian continued to stay in the Eclipse mine for several years before he left. Although he only left behind 10% of the total amount of ore, his harvest was still quite good. Naturally, it couldn't be compared to Di Tian's harvest. Mining required one to mine ores one by one and there would often be the danger of being plundered or killed. How could it be as comfortable as a weaponsmith grandmaster running an auction house? But to Qin Wendian, what was more important wasn't mining. It was knowledge and experience. Has everything been sorted out? There shouldn't be any mistakes, right? Qin Wendian flipped through the scrolls as he asked. Although it was rare to find transcending emperor stones, they would still appear frequently. He only needed to know about this matter and order his men to record it down. When there's time, he would come here to collect them all at once. At this moment, an immortal emperor walked out from the ancient river auction house with many people behind him. He glanced at the surroundings and asked, "What happened?" He turned his gaze to the major powers in the surroundings. At this moment, many people could feel that something was amiss. Other than Su Li, the other two vice-governors were also in charge of two transaction pavilions and the atmosphere was tense. Qin Wendian stared ahead. This entire mine had transformed into a blood-red hell. Gradually, red liquid could be seen flowing everywhere. All the mines in this vast region had been destroyed. If one lowered their heads and gazed downwards, there seemed to be a sea of blood there, seething with a terrifying aura of destruction. The ancient river auction house was an extremely large auction house in the northern city regions. This auction house had already become a well-developed market with many transaction pavilions in the surroundings. Every day, there would be large groups of experts coming here to trade. This is the standard for the tribute. In the past, your transaction pavilion was a fourth-tier power. But during these years, your trading pavilion has been growing stronger and stronger. Right now, it's a third-tier power. According to the new standard, pay the tribute immediately. Su Li took out a piece of paper that landed before the manager. Many experts sped over, staring at the situation here. Something seemed to be wrong. Su Li waved his hand. In an instant, the people from the governor's manor behind him stepped forward, directly surrounding the transaction pavilion. The expression of the manager instantly turned extremely unsightly. Su Li coldly spoke, "I'll give you the time it takes for an incense stick to burn. If you don't pay the tribute, this transaction pavilion will be sealed immediately." Chapter 1594. This old man has never heard of such a law in the governor's manor. If someone casually commented on Lord Governor Qin, I wonder how many people in the northern city regions would have to endure this punishment. Could it be that you all don't know how the people of the outside world evaluate Lord Governor Qin? As for him, which of his words is slander? An old man at the peak stage of the immortal emperor realm coldly spoke. He was none other than the manager of the ancient river auction house. The evil emperor's eyes turned cold, sweeping his gaze over the crowd before landing on the person who spoke. This person was a young immortal king from the ancient river auction house. He stood beside a powerful immortal emperor and laughed in an unbridled manner. The moment he appeared, a violent aura swept over the area, vaguely showing signs of opposing the governor's manor. "Understand you all? Whip punishment." Someone at the back replied. The evil emperor waved his hand, "Capture him." The governors of the various city regions can add their own laws to govern the various regions. These are the laws of my northern governor's manor. If you have any doubts, you can go to the Lifire Empyrean and ask him. If there's anyone who dares to obstruct the governor's manor from enforcing the laws, the punishment won't be as simple as whipping punishment. Su Li sinisterly spoke. This ancient river auction house was truly domineering enough. Many immortal emperors directly came here, openly opposing the governor's manor. Fine. The old man's voice was cold. Even if this is the law set by the governor's manor, let me ask you again. Which sentence of his is slandering Lord Governor Qin? The moment he took office, he killed 3 vice-governors. Also, you guys are all bandits. Isn't it the same as planting his own power in the governor's manor? Isn't this slander? Could it be that the things Lord Governor Qin did, others can't even speak of it? Ha ha ha. Someone laughed uproariously when he heard Su Li's words. He slowly walked out, coming to the front of the crowd. Even the evil emperor and Su Li retreated to the side, waiting for him to walk to the front. It's only natural for the governor's manor to collect tributes. It's just that these transaction pavilions are all subordinate to my ancient river auction house and their operations aren't that great. The governor's manor directly raised the tributes by 10 times, causing them to find it hard to accept. As for my ancient river auction house, many things have happened during these years. Lord Governor Qin should be very clear about this, right? This calm voice was like thunder exploding out. Many people felt their minds buzzing as their hearts pounded violently. Su Li frowned, his gaze was ice-cold. But at this moment, an indifferent voice drifted over, "Of course he's slandering me. Collect tributes?" He coldly laughed. He stared at the evil emperor. During these years, how many things has the governor's manor done for the northern city regions? When I was auctioning off my items, there were people who were robbed and robbed. There were even people who caused trouble. I've consulted the governor's manor about all of these, but did the governor's manor ever do anything about it? Although he has been despised by the outside world for many years, but in the governor's manor, ever since he domineeringly killed the 3 vice-governors back then, no one dared to show him any disrespect. This old man really wishes to consult you. Which part of his words is slander? The eyes of the old man gleamed with sharpness as he stared at Qin Wentian. His voice continued echoing through the air. That calm voice contained an indisputable aura of iron and blood, manifesting Qin Wentian's dominance. During these years, the governor's manor has never done anything. I deeply apologize for this. Today, this seat personally came here not only to collect tributes, but also to investigate the things that happened during these years. Next, I might need to conduct an investigation. I hope you can forgive me. Qin Wendian calmly spoke. Pass down my command, immediately seal the ancient river auction house and conduct an investigation on everything that happened during these years. Other than those who came here for the auction, all internal members of the ancient river auction house are not allowed to leave. They have to cooperate with the governor's manor in the investigation. Those who disobey will be executed immediately. He said that this seat was so frightened by that battle that I didn't dare to come out. But right now, this seat is standing right here. Qin Wendian slowly spoke. That's right. This sentence can't be considered slander. That transaction pavilion lord also felt extremely confident. He coldly laughed. Today, he wanted to see how the governor's manor would be able to get out of this embarrassing situation. Since you put it this way, I won't bicker with him then. Qin Wendian smiled, as though he didn't mind. He then continued, however, why did the ancient river auction house obstruct my governor's manor from collecting tributes? Qin Wendian. That old man coldly snorted. We pay our respects to the governor. Many experts from the governor's manor bowed at the same time, their voices were uniform and incomparably solemn. In just an instant, the hearts of many people involuntarily trembled. Was this Qin Wendian? With the support of the ancient river auction house, his confidence seemed to have increased by a few degrees. That's right. Qin Wendian replied. As for the people of the governor's manor, they only felt their blood boiling. At this moment, they involuntarily thought back to when their Lord Governor killed the 3 vice-governors back then. That iron-blooded aura he exuded, killing whoever obstructed his path. You dare to obstruct the governor's manor from enforcing the law? The evil emperor's jade-green eyes stared at him as he coldly spoke. What a good, obstructing the governor's manor from enforcing the law. Numerous figures flashed as several immortal emperors appeared from the ancient river auction house. This lineup was simply terrifying, causing everyone to sigh in admiration. This ancient river auction house was as expected of a grand auction house in the northern city regions. They were extremely wealthy and had many immortal emperors to support them. The number of immortal emperors here wasn't any lesser compared to the governor's manor. That's right, it's the same for my side as well. I really want to know what qualifications does the governor's manor have to demand 10 times the amount of tributes from us. Even if the palace lord was here, he would surely understand, right? The manager of another transaction pavilion spoke loudly. More and more experts gathered here. This place was originally already an extremely popular trading ground. Now that such a thing happened, it would naturally cause a chain reaction. Experts from all over gathered here to spectate. Had the new governor, Qin Wendian, finally arrived? Some people were purely here to watch the show, while others were mocking them, standing on the side of the ancient river auction house, joining forces to resist the pressure from the governor's manor. Impudent. Old He's eyes turned cold. Immortal Emperor might erupted forth from him as Emperor Light flashed. His thunderous voice caused the hearts of everyone to tremble. He stepped out and coldly spoke, what does the governor's manor treat this place as? Disrupting the business of my auction house like this, is this something the governor's manor should do? This voice abruptly rang out, causing the eyes of everyone to flash as they glanced in a certain direction. At this moment, the experts of the governor's manor had already split into 2 sides, involuntarily opening up a path. From this, one could see how strict the rules of the governor's manor were. Or to put it in another way, the prestige of the person in the middle was extremely high. Governor Qin. The old man from the ancient river auction house still stood in the air, exuding a sense of loftiness. Su Li walked over, his eyes gleaming with coldness. Governor Qin is benevolent. In order to allow everyone to run their businesses in peace, he would do his best to not collect as much as he could. In these tens of years, has the ancient river auction house ever paid a single tribute? However, do you all know that every time Governor Qin is in the Lifire Palace, he would have to face the palace lord and the other governors' questions? Lord Governor Qin had to bear all the responsibility. Right now, you bunch of ungrateful wolves actually think that it's only natural, not knowing what's good for you. Hee hee. The old man laughed. He stared at Qin Wentian as he replied, "These words are merely a little disrespectful at most. But if you say it's slander, it's a little too severe. Sir, as the governor of an entire region, wouldn't you be a joke if you say it's slander?" The conversation between the two of them was extremely calm, like there was no anger at all. Many people stared at him. To the people of the northern city regions, many people had never seen what Qin Wentian looked like before. Right now, they saw an extremely handsome figure radiating a mystical glow, giving him a sense of divinity. Regardless of male or female, they couldn't help but sigh in admiration when they saw him. What a handsome young man, his demeanor was extremely outstanding. Numerous figures flashed, all of them were people from the governor's manor. They surrounded the area, preparing to capture Qin Wentian. "Qin Wentian, do you know what you are doing?" He angrily stared at Qin Wentian. However, he only saw a pair of cold eyes. A resplendent sort of light directly penetrated through them. He screamed in pain as blood flowed from his eyes. After that, a sort of light slashed through the air, directly slicing down. In just an instant, his head was separated from his body as blood splattered everywhere. At this moment, the evil emperor reverted to his human form. He stepped out, moving towards He as he spoke, "Right now, it's the tribute period. In a few more months, Governor Qin would head to the Lifire Palace to pay the tribute. We are naturally here to collect the tributes. Slandering the governor in public, according to the law, what's the crime?" The evil emperor stood in the air as he asked. "In addition, this time around, I came here to collect the tributes from the ancient river auction house as well." "That's right. It's one thing if the governor's manor doesn't care about matters, but they are so proactive in collecting the tributes. In addition, my transaction pavilion would always pay the tributes on time every year. Right now, the governor's manor actually changed my pavilion to a third-tier power in a single night, collecting 10 times the amount of tributes. What does this mean? Are they intentionally making it hard for me to continue operating?" The manager of the transaction pavilion Su Li was and walked out as he coldly spoke. For those who disobeyed, they would be executed immediately. Did these people really think that they could control the northern city regions? After all, this region was still the Jialan clan's territory. Only the Jialan clan could control everything. Also, the ancient river auction house had the shadow of the Jialan clan behind them. Since the governor's manor wanted to challenge the ancient river auction house, today, they would teach the governor's manor a good lesson on how to conduct themselves. Although there were countless people here, the atmosphere was extremely silent at this moment. The gazes of everyone were all staring at the central region where the conflict erupted. This time around, the governor's manor suddenly appeared, and in addition, all the governor's manors were here in an imposing manner. Clearly, they came with ill intentions. The ancient river auction house wasn't willing to show weakness and directly challenged the governor's manor. "How dare you? Who dares to act?" Upon seeing the people from the governor's manor rushing into the ancient river auction house, the immortal emperor He directly flashed, wanting to block the crowd. Seems like the governor's manor has been weak for many years. These people completely didn't have the governor's manor in their eyes at all. If not, no matter how strong you are, you wouldn't dare to be so brazen. Don't forget that the Lifire Palace was behind the governor's manor and the entire Lifire city was governed by the Lifire Palace. Chapter 1595. He's corpse landed on the ground, his head separated from his body. Countless gazes turned over as their hearts pounded violently. All of them stared in shock at this sudden change. Qin Wentian acted on the spot, killing an immortal emperor. Little he. The eyes of the old man in the air trembled as he stared at the ground that was dyed red with blood. His eyes flashed with a terrifying killing intent. Many people from the ancient river auction house rushed over. When they saw He's corpse, their bodies were all trembling from anger. Qin Wentian actually dared to kill him. How could he dare to kill him? The spectators were all frightened silly. This was especially so for the pavilion lords of the transaction pavilions. At this moment, it was as though a bucket of cold water was poured over their heads. They instantly became more clear-headed, and only now did they understand what level of conflict they were participating in. Did they even have the qualifications to participate? Old He was an immortal emperor from the ancient river auction house. Qin Wendian killed him just like that. He didn't even say a word. Old He wanted to obstruct the people from the governor's manor. Qin Wendian simply killed him with a single glance. Although they were the pavilion lords of the transaction pavilions, Qin Wendian even dared to kill Old He. What did they count for? They were merely subordinates of the ancient river auction house. Right now, how could they not understand that the governor's manor wanted to make an example out of them? Just when the people of the northern city regions gradually forgot about this character and the governor's manor, Qin Wendian appeared. Everyone treated the governor's manor as a symbol of cowardice and incompetence. But at this moment, the governor's manor descended from the sky, arriving at the ancient river auction house. People of the governor's manor, listen up. Immediately carry out my orders. For those who dare to obstruct the investigation, they will be executed immediately. Qin Wendian spat out once more. This time around, the weight of his voice was even heavier compared to before, and it was filled with an iron-blooded aura. Yes, Governor. The experts from the governor's manor replied in unison. During these years, although they all feared Governor Qin Wendian, they also knew that the governor's manor was looked down upon by others outside. Their reputation was extremely bad. The other governors' manors in the other regions were all extremely imposing. Only their governor's manor had no prestige at all in the northern city regions. Everyone dared to antagonize them. Every year, when they collected the tributes, it was as though they were begging someone. They had been suppressing their anger for a long time. Now, the Lord Commander, who had endured for decades, had finally made his move. They could all smell the iron blood, the scent of a ferocious beast. Ever since Qin Wendian killed the 3 deputy commanders, they understood that this was a ferocious beast. Although it had been silent for many years, now, it had finally revealed its sharp fangs. The gazes of the people from the ancient river auction house turned to the old man. This old man was the leader of the ancient river auction house, yet at this moment, he was exceptionally calm. He stared at the corpses on the ground as he coldly spoke, "Let them investigate." Clearly, he understood that Qin Wendian was serious now. If they tried to stop him, it would be the same as declaring war. Also, Qin Wendian had a good reason to do this. He only acted in the name of helping them investigate the case and acted with lightning speed. Their allies hadn't arrived yet. If they fought now, even if their immortal emperors weren't at a disadvantage, with Qin Wendian and the evil emperor present, they would definitely be defeated. Qin Wendian would directly kill them. At that time, they wouldn't even be alive anymore. Where would they go to seek justice? The more it was like this, the more they had to endure. Everyone had expressions of rage on their faces as they clenched their fists. They wanted nothing more than to kill their way out, but they didn't move, obeying the old man's command. The old man didn't hide anything. He took out his messaging crystal in front of Qin Wendian and sent a strand of immortal sense into it. Everyone naturally knew what he was doing. Qin Wendian knew as well, but he only quietly watched on. Today, no matter who came, it was useless. The immortal emperors of the governor's manor locked down all the major locations of the ancient river auction house. The experts of the governor's manor entered and began their search. Qin Wendian and the evil emperor stood outside, coldly watching everything. "Governor Qin, my ancient river auction house still has some status in the northern city regions. Have you thought about the consequences of your actions?" After the old man transmitted his voice, he stared at Qin Wendian as he calmly spoke. "Didn't the ancient river auction house want me to investigate what happened during these years? Now that this seat has started to investigate, what do you mean by saying this?" Qin Wendian stood with his hands behind his back, coldly staring at the old man. Governor Qin truly knows how to act. Everyone in Lifire City knows that Governor Qin was born a bandit, and they also know why you became a governor. Hence, I suggest for Governor Qin that no matter what you do, you have to consider the consequences in case you make a mistake. The old man continued, his calm voice containing no anger at all, yet there was a hint of threat in it. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed with coldness. Threatening him? Very well. Very swiftly, a person was brought out. This person was a peak-stage immortal king. He coldly stared at Qin Wentian. Lord Governor, what do you mean by this? Qin Wentian glanced at him but didn't say anything. He simply waited quietly. More and more people were brought out. Upon seeing this scene, the expression of the old man changed as a strange light flashed in his eyes. So it turned out that the governor's manor had been planning for this for a very long time. Today, they truly came prepared. From afar, more and more experts arrived. Gradually, the area outside the ancient river auction house became so crowded that not even a drop of water could trickle through. Although the ancient river auction house was a major auction house in the northern city regions, they had never seen such a grand scene before. The governor's manor has been silent for so many years. The moment they acted, they wanted to deal with the ancient river auction house. How could they not attract attention? Also, this also concerned the benefits of the various major powers. After all, in the past tens of years, there were very few people who paid tribute to the governor's manor. Hence, the confrontation between the governor's manor and the ancient river auction house this time around was extremely significant. Many people wanted to see how this matter would develop. In the air, a few extremely tyrannical powers arrived. There were quite a few immortal emperors among them, including peak-stage immortal emperors. They directly came to the side of the ancient river auction house, the location closest to the eye of the storm, as they stared at the people from the governor's manor. Clearly, these people came with ill intentions. However, Qin Wentian didn't even bother to lift his head to glance at them. He continued standing there with his hands behind his back, quietly standing there. In fact, he even closed his eyes, meditating. That handsome face of his was extremely mesmerizing. Many beautiful female cultivators stared at him with a bright light in their eyes, filled with admiration. Young, handsome, powerful, iron-blooded. It has been many years since such a dazzling governor appeared in the northern city regions. Finally, many people were brought to the side of Qin Wentian. The people from the governor's manor gradually returned. The old man from the ancient river auction house coldly spoke, "Lord Governor, what do you want to do exactly?" "Evil Emperor, I'll leave this to you." Qin Wentian closed his eyes as he spoke. The evil emperor nodded. His eyes gleamed with a terrifying demonic light as he took a step forward. "Hold on." The old man roared. "Governor Qin, what do you want the evil emperor to do?" "Naturally, it's to investigate the case." Qin Wentian replied. "Investigate the case? Why did you capture the people of my ancient river auction house?" The old man coldly questioned. "Maybe, there's a problem with them and the ancient river auction house didn't discover it. Since my governor's manor wants to investigate the matters of the ancient river auction house during these years, we will naturally do our best." "Why? Do you want to obstruct me?" Qin Wentian opened his eyes as an incomparably resplendent beam of light shot out. This beam of light was even sharper than swords, directly piercing into the eyes of the old man. The old man's heart trembled. He coldly spoke, "Qin Wentian, don't go too overboard." "Evil Emperor." Qin Wentian ignored the old man and spoke. The eyes of the evil emperor turned extremely demonic as a jade green light flashed. He stared at one of the guards. That person's eyes also flickered with a strange green light. His expression seemed a little wooden, like he wasn't clear-headed. 20 years ago, there were a few cases of theft in the ancient river auction house. "Do you know anything about this?" the evil emperor asked. "I understand." That person nodded and replied. "What happened exactly?" the evil emperor asked again. "The governor's manor is about to collect the tributes. In order to have an excuse not to pay the tributes, my auction house put on a show." That person replied. "Shut up." The old man roared, his voice like thunder, causing the soul of that person to tremble. After that, the jade-green light in his eyes vanished. When he stared at the cold eyes of the old man, his countenance instantly turned pale. Evil Emperor, continue. Qin Wendian spoke. Zhu Yan. 8 years ago, I heard that you spoke about an incident 10 years ago in the inn. About an assassin from your ancient river auction house being assassinated, is this true? The evil emperor directly asked. Yes, that person is someone we wanted to get rid of. And it just so happens that the governor's manor is about to collect the tributes. We can use this opportunity to kill 2 birds with 1 stone and kill him. After that, we ordered people to inform the governor's manor to investigate this matter. Naturally, the governor's manor wouldn't be able to find out. Not only for this incident, every time before the tribute date arrives, we would always do something. Even if we don't pay the tributes, we would at least find an excuse. The governor's manor is cowardly, we just need to do something and there's no need to worry about them finding out. They are just a bunch of trash. A mocking smile appeared on Zhu Yan's face as he slowly revealed the truth. Silence filled the air. That old man's chest heaved up and down, he was so angry that his entire body was trembling. His gaze slowly turned over and landed on the evil emperor. Is this enough? Evil emperor, who doesn't know of your capabilities? You can make them say whatever you want them to say. If you want to pin a crime on someone, you can always find a pretext. Isn't your methods a little too despicable? Despicable methods? The evil emperor stared at that old man. Your ancient river auction house has used all sorts of shameless methods. You actually have the face to say these words. There's no meaning in arguing with you. That old man glanced at Qin Wendian. I'm asking Governor Qin, what do you want to do? If you want to deal with my ancient river auction house, you can just say it out loud. Why must you use such methods to frame us? I heard that during these years, because Governor Qin didn't collect enough tributes, every time you head to the Livefire Palace, you would be looked down on by your colleagues. Most probably, it wouldn't be easy for you to explain this to the Livefire Empyrean. Hence, you decided to do such a thing. A voice rang out. Everyone turned their gazes to the air. The person who spoke was someone from another major power. His face had a mocking look on it. Clearly, he was here to help the ancient river auction house. Chapter 1596. The tone of the person who spoke was filled with sharpness. Clearly, he was targeting Qin Wendian, mocking Qin Wendian for not being able to collect enough tributes and finding it hard to answer to the Livefire Empyrean. Hence, he used such despicable methods to deal with the ancient river auction house. Although he didn't say it out loud, how could everyone not understand? Qin Wendian inclined his head and stared at the person who spoke. A faint smile could be seen on his handsome face. Who are you? Who I am isn't important. What's important is that Lord Governor actually used such methods to deal with us merchants in Livefire City. Although we are weak and can't be compared to the governor's manor, we definitely won't sit still and wait for death. That person's tone was filled with unyieldingness as he continued. Weak and weak. Qin Wendian glanced at that person. This person was a peak-stage immortal emperor and there were even several immortal emperors around him. How could such a power be weak and weak? Just purely in terms of immortal emperors, his northern governor's manor might not be able to win against them. He felt ashamed that he was a failure as a governor, causing his governor's manor to be in such a pitiful state. That's right, we have our own businesses in Livefire City and it wasn't easy for us to develop. Since the governor's manor isn't able to guarantee our safety, there's naturally no need for us to pay any tributes. But if the governor's manor uses such methods, it truly makes one's heart turn cold. Another expert from a major power spoke, all of them standing together with the ancient river auction house. Suli, who are these 2 clans? Have they paid any tributes before? Qin Wendian glanced at Suli as he asked. The Pavilion Lord of the Crimson Moon Pavilion and Sky Incense Sect are both first-tier powers and have great influence in our northern city regions. But ever since the governor took over, the Crimson Moon Pavilion and Sky Incense Sect have never paid any tributes. Suli replied to Qin Wendian. The governor's manor doesn't do anything and you still want us to pay tributes? Are you guys dreaming? The pavilion lord of the Crimson Moon Pavilion continued. You guys said that the governor's manor didn't do its job and reported the matter to my governor's manor. In the past, my governor's manor didn't manage to investigate the matter properly. Hence, you guys used this as an excuse to refuse to pay the tribute. For this point, this seat admits that my governor's manor didn't do its job. Qin Wentian stared at everyone as he slowly spoke. But now, I've come here with the will of all of you. Now that the truth is clear, you all are saying that I'm the one who slandered you and intentionally framed you. In that case, no matter what my governor's manor does, you all have no intentions of paying tribute. Governor Qin is intentionally twisting our meaning. If you truly wanted to investigate the truth, why would you send people to search my auction house and capture my people? Governor Qin's motive, you should be very clear in your heart. The old man from the ancient river auction house coldly spoke. Governor Qin, I'm sure you are very clear in your heart. The lifelong realm lord is the ruler of the 9 world palaces. The Lifire Palace Lord is in charge of the Lifire city and there are 5 governors in the city, each with their own responsibilities. I, Qin Wentian, am the governor of the northern city regions and I'm in charge of all matters here. Since this seat has already investigated the truth, let it be the truth. If there's anyone who isn't convinced, you can head to the Lifire Palace Lord and report this to him. Qin Wentian's voice suddenly turned solemn, extremely cold. As for today, the truth is out there. It doesn't matter if you all try to deny it. For anyone who dares to obstruct the governor's manor from doing its job, we will kill them all without mercy. A gust of cold wind blew through the air, causing the spectators to feel a chill in their bodies. Earlier, Qin Wentian had declared that he would kill old he of the ancient river auction house. Now, he gave the order that anyone who dares to obstruct the governor's manor from doing its job would be killed without mercy. His cold voice was filled with killing intent. It was like today, no one would be able to obstruct him from acting against the ancient river auction house. The experts from the Crimson Moon Pavilion arrived, including several immortal emperors and the pavilion lord. The experts from the Sky Incense sect arrived, including the pavilion lord. In addition to the ancient river auction house, this was definitely a supremely powerful force. If a war really broke out, even the governor's manor wouldn't be a match for them, right? Lord Governor, please think thrice before acting. Another expert spoke. This person was the pavilion lord of one of the larger transaction pavilions under the ancient river auction house. His cultivation base was at the mid-stage of the immortal emperor realm. At such a time, many people involuntarily stood on the same side as the ancient river auction house. It wasn't because they had an alliance with the ancient river auction house but rather, this concerned their own benefits. This battle was extremely crucial. Once the governor's manor took over the ancient river auction house, it would mean that the governor's manor would be able to reverse the situation. In the future, when the governor's manor collects tributes, would they still be able to refuse? Governor Qin, please proceed with caution. Another person reminded. However, there was no kindness at all. His tone was cold, sounding more like a threat. If Governor Qin really wants to act so recklessly, we can only join forces to resist. If the Empyrean sends people here to punish us, we will also fight for justice. It's Lord Governor who doesn't want to give us a path of survival. The old man from the ancient river auction house slowly spoke, his eyes flashing with terrifying killing intent. Qin Wentian knew that the other party wanted to kill him. In addition, he also wanted to believe that if he, Qin Wentian, not only did he not cause any damage to the Jialan clan, he would also be killed so easily. This would mean that he had no value to the Lifire Empyrean at all. If he died, the Lifire Empyrean would definitely not speak up for him. That would only mean that he was useless. What the Lifire Empyrean wanted was a useful Qin Wentian. As for the Jialan clan, there was no need to say anything more. 3 months after he assumed the position, when he was dealing with the 2 vice-governors, he had already encountered the terrifying soul-slaying needles. As long as the Jialan clan grasped an opportunity, they would definitely not hesitate to kill him. But today, he might have given the Jialan clan a chance. Regardless of the Lifire Palace or the Jialan clan, both of them had their own plans. Qin Wentian was sandwiched in the middle and was in an extremely miserable state. However, he had no path of retreat. 3,000 generals, listen up. Qin Wentian commanded. Yes. A terrifying voice echoed through the air. After the storm back then, the governor's manor summoned more people, adding up to a total of 3,000 generals. Right now, all of them were gathered at the ancient river auction house. The ancient river auction house, for the sake of evading the tributes, set up a scheme and slandered the governor's manor's reputation. Also, from the time I assumed the position until now, they have never paid a single tribute. From now onwards, the ancient river auction house will be sealed and the auction house will be cleared out. Everyone in the auction house will be wiped out and the ancient river auction house will be returned to the governor's manor to make up for the unpaid tributes. Qin Wentian's voice was cold to the extreme. He directly gave the order to confiscate the ancient river auction house, turning it into the governor's manor's property. Qin Wentian, you dare! The old man roared in rage. A terrifying tempest manifested around him as a heaven-shaking might erupted forth. Beams of destructive light flashed in the air. For those who obstruct the governor's manor, kill them all without mercy. Qin Wentian coldly snorted. In an instant, the 3,000 generals all unleashed their terrifying auras. For a period of time, the entire space around them started to tremble violently as the tyrannical qi currents churned frenziedly, emitting whistling sounds. To immortal emperors and immortal kings, the ancient river auction house was simply too small. Many people retreated, especially for those spectators. They hurriedly sped away, worried that they might be affected by the shockwaves of the battle. Seems like Lord Governor is going to be tyrannical to the end. The Crimson Moon Pavilion Lord coldly spoke. His subordinates all unleashed their auras as killing intent flashed in their eyes. The Sky Incense Sect Lord did the same as well. He led his subordinates and stepped out, wanting to surround the governor's army. All of you want to bear the consequences for the ancient river auction house. In that case, let's see if you all can bear the consequences or not. Qin Wentian's body slowly rose up into the air. Resplendent emperor light flashed as the light cascaded downwards. The intense light caused many people to close their eyes, feeling so much pain that they couldn't open them. Mid-stage immortal emperor. Many people felt their hearts trembling. It was rumored that Qin Wentian's cultivation base was at the initial stage of the immortal emperor realm. But now, he actually broke through and entered the mid-stage. No wonder he acted against the ancient river auction house. So it turned out that his strength had grown even stronger. I'll say it one last time. For those who obstruct the governor's manor, kill them all without mercy. Qin Wentian took a step forward. The evil emperor stood at the forefront of the army and waved his hand, let's go. Everyone moved forward, intending to raid the ancient river auction house. Boom! The Crimson Moon Pavilion Lord soared into the air as an incomparably violent wave of heat erupted forth, shooting towards the evil emperor. The experts from the Crimson Moon Pavilion acted at the same time, appearing before the army. Roar! The evil emperor roared in rage. A demonic tempest engulfed the area, causing countless people to retreat frantically. The crowd instantly dispersed. The battle was already destined to erupt. Who would dare to get close? Scram! The Crimson Moon Pavilion Lord blasted out a terrifying blood-red palm imprint, enveloping the area. Even before the attack landed, the violent shockwaves already forced the immortal kings of the governor's manor to retreat. After that, the palm imprint collided with the evil emperor's attack, causing a violent explosion. Governor Qin, you forced us to do this. The old man from the ancient river auction house radiated emperor might. The experts around him stood in a row and unleashed their auras. At the same time, on the other side, the experts from the Sky Incense Sect as well as the experts from the other major powers also unleashed their auras, intending to fight against the governor's manor. This time around, things are going crazy. Many people felt their hearts trembling. How many years has it been since such a situation occurred? The governor's manor actually started a war against the major powers. The northern city regions were the Jialan clan's territory. Even the Li-Fire Empyrean wouldn't be able to extend his hand here. Hence, many of the major powers here were influenced by the Jialan clan and were extremely domineering towards the governor's manor. In the past, there were also domineering governors, but all of them died. The Li-Fire Empyrean didn't manage to avenge them. Right now, an even more domineering governor appeared. This person was none other than the bandit Qin Wentian. Today, this domineering governor Qin Wentian had been keeping a low profile for so many years. Could it be that he was finally going to die here? It wasn't so easy to stir up the muddy waters of the northern city regions. Chapter 1597. This space instantly became empty, and those experts all retreated far away, freeing up the battlefield. Many immortal emperors and immortal kings erupted forth with might, suppressing everything. The army of the governor's manor was obstructed by the other major powers, unable to advance. The evil emperor and Su Li roared as they charged forward. Qin Wentian floated in the air, the light radiating from him grew increasingly resplendent. Has he gone mad? Since he acted today, he wouldn't fail. During the 50 years he was in charge, other than killing the 3 vice-governors, he had never acted in Li-Fire City before. He had always been in seclusion or cultivating outside, even going to many mines to mine. Up until today, his cultivation base had already broken through to the mid-stage of the immortal emperor realm. Those powers in the northern city regions who had connections with the Jialan clan all looked down on his existence. In that case, it was time for him to settle the debt of 50 years. A blinding light illuminated the area. Many people couldn't even open their eyes. The experts from the ancient river auction house, Crimson Moon Pavilion and Sky Incense sect who participated in this battle only felt the intense light shooting towards them. They seemed to have become independent entities, isolated within a special domain of light. A mid-stage immortal emperor from the ancient river auction house radiated terrifying emperor light as law energy danced wildly around him. However, he still involuntarily lifted his palms, wanting to block his eyes. The intense beam of light shot over, penetrating through his law energy and piercing into his body. The light radiating from him grew brighter and brighter. After that, his body gradually transformed into light, wanting to fuse as one with the light. No! He roared in rage. How can this be? How difficult was it for him to reach the mid-stage of the immortal emperor realm? How many experiences did he have to go through before he could reach his current status? Was he going to be killed by a beam of light now? He was filled with reluctance. However, as the light passed through him, his body seemed to have become a part of the light and completely disappeared. He was like a dot of light that disappeared without a trace. Not only for him, for mid-stage and initial stage immortal emperors, as long as they were hit by this beam of light, it was useless no matter how they tried to resist. All of their bodies vanished, becoming a part of the light. As for the spectators who were watching from afar, they felt that they couldn't see anything clearly. The light was too bright, so bright that they could only see a patch of light. They couldn't see anyone, but they could hear voices coming from within the light. Every voice was filled with grief, indignation, and despair, causing their bodies to tremble uncontrollably. The intense light finally dissipated. When everyone raised their heads and looked at the sky again, they felt their souls trembling. In an instant, their bodies were drenched in cold sweat. Looking at the handsome figure floating in the air, they all felt a heartfelt sense of awe. A cowardly and useless governor who hid in the governor's manor, not daring to step out. A commander who did not dare to collect tribute and was afraid of being assassinated. Just a single beam of light was sufficient to destroy everything. The ancient river auction house, the Crimson Moon Pavilion, the Sky Incense sect, as well as a few other powers who participated in this battle, blocking the path of the governor's army. There were many immortal emperors, over 20 of them. But right now, before Qin Wentian, only a few immortal emperors remained. All of them were peak-stage immortal emperors and they had already retreated very far away. For those mid-stage and initial stage immortal emperors below the peak stage, they had all disappeared. The screams of agony and misery from the earlier beam of light still echoed in their ears. Clearly, they had all died within the light. Those peak-stage immortal emperors who were still alive were all panting, staring fixedly at Qin Wentian. Terror could be seen in their eyes. How could this be possible? How could Qin Wentian be so powerful to such an extent? Just a single beam of light was enough to kill a group of immortal emperors. This was simply too terrifying. Didn't this mean that before him, even if there were immortal emperors attacking in groups, it would all be useless? As for the army of the governor's manor below, when they stared at Qin Wentian, it was as though they were looking at a divinity. This was their Lord Governor, a godlike existence. 3 months after he took office, he domineeringly killed 3 of his vice-governors, surviving the soul-slaying formation. Now, with just a beam of light, he was able to kill so many immortal emperors. How imposing was this? Weren't these people from the major powers very arrogant? They looked down on their governor's manor and actually dared to declare war against them. In the past, they also made things difficult for them. Now, they could finally hold their heads up high. From afar, the managers of the transaction pavilions who had the support of the ancient river auction house were all so frightened that their countenances drastically changed. Sweat unceasingly flowed down their foreheads as they felt unease in their hearts. Before this, they had even mocked Qin Wentian. When they thought of this, they only felt their hearts burning with fear. This time around, something major was going to happen. Under the alliance of the major powers, even the governor's manor dared to declare war against them. It wasn't that they had never done such a thing before. The previous governors of the northern city regions had never been able to truly rise to power. However, today, they seemed to have realized that things were different. In the northern city regions, other than an existence whose cultivation base wasn't high but whose combat prowess was terrifying, there was no one else in the northern city regions. Today, when he led his troops to deal with the ancient river auction house, he had already thought of all obstacles. He had already considered the possibility of other powers acting together to declare war against his governor's manor. In fact, he had even considered the possibility of these people taking the opportunity to kill him. But so what of it? When he had absolute strength, all schemes would have to bow their heads before absolute strength. Qin Wentian, who had broken through to the mid-stage of the immortal emperor realm, undoubtedly had absolute strength. He could ignore the schemes of many major powers, as well as the encirclement of immortal emperors. For those who obstructed him, he would kill them. Qin Wentian, as the governor of the northern city regions, is this how you treat the major powers of the northern city regions? The voice of the old man from the ancient river auction house was no longer as domineering and confident as before. There was even a slight tremor in his voice. There's no need to put a hat on this seat's head. Do you still know that this seat is the governor of the northern city regions? During these years, who has ever respected me, the governor? How did you all treat the people of my governor's manor? Making things difficult for me when collecting the tributes, even scheming to create trouble, using this as an excuse to refuse to pay the tributes. Just earlier, didn't you all want to declare war against my governor's manor, wanting to kill this seat? But now, why are you all acting like you are being bullied by this seat? Qin Wentian's voice was incomparably domineering. His gaze swept through the air. Before this seat has already given the order. Whoever dares to do things in the governor's manor, they will be killed without mercy. Right now, the ancient river auction house refused to accept punishment. The Crimson Moon Pavilion and Sky Incense sect have not paid any tributes for tens of years and even joined forces with the ancient river auction house to oppose the governor's manor. Their crimes are unpardonable. From this instant onwards, all the businesses of the Crimson Moon Pavilion and Sky Incense sect in the northern city regions will be confiscated by the governor's manor. As the sound of his voice faded, the hearts of countless people trembled violently. This was too crazy. This time around, not only the ancient river auction house, even the Crimson Moon Pavilion and Sky Incense sect were implicated. All their businesses would be confiscated. This time around, the governor's manor wanted to use the ancient river auction house to establish their might. These two major powers were implicated and became the targets of the governor's manor. Yes, Governor. The people of the governor's manor replied. Su Li, Qin Wendian called out. Here. Su Li replied. Other than these three major powers, there are a few other immortal emperors who participated in this earlier. Do you recognize them? Qin Wendian asked. Yes. Su Li nodded. Good. Since they obstructed the governor's manor from doing things, we will confiscate their businesses. Bring your men over now. For those who dare to obstruct us, kill them without mercy. Qin Wendian commanded. Yes. Su Li nodded. Follow me. The governor's manor still had 3 vice-governors. Each of them was in charge of 1,000 people. In an instant, Su Li's subordinates all stepped out and followed after him. Evil Emperor. Qin Wendian spoke again. Here. The evil emperor replied. Bring 1,000 men to confiscate the businesses of the Crimson Moon Pavilion and Sky Incense sect. If the other party has too many experts and dares to resist, just temporarily delay them and wait for me to arrive. Qin Wendian continued. Right. The evil emperor nodded. With a wave of his hand, another 1,000 men stepped out and followed him, slaughtering their way towards the businesses of the Crimson Moon Pavilion and Sky Incense sect. Qin Wendian, don't go too overboard. The pavilion lord of the Crimson Moon Pavilion finally started to panic. His Crimson Moon Pavilion was a first-tier power and was extremely powerful. Once the evil emperor went to confiscate their businesses, they would definitely have to resist. But given how ruthless Qin Wendian was right now, as long as they resisted, it would be equivalent to publicly opposing the governor's manor. Overboard? Qin Wendian laughed. Earlier, why did your killing intent towards me disappear? Let's go. The Crimson Moon Pavilion Lord spoke. The Sky Incense Sect Lord nodded. They retreated, actually wanting to leave. When facing against a mid-stage immortal emperor like Qin Wendian, they didn't dare to fight against several peak-stage immortal emperors. Qin Wendian's combat prowess was too terrifying. Although it was just a single strike earlier, it still left an unforgettable impression in their hearts. Such strength made even peak-stage immortal emperors like them not dare to resist. There was no way for them to win. Since we've already started a war with the governor's manor, can we still leave now? Qin Wendian laughed. The hearts of everyone trembled. Qin Wendian wanted all these peak-stage immortal emperors to stay behind. Several experts stepped out, soaring through the air. However, they only saw Qin Wendian's eyes turning incomparably terrifying. A pair of demonic eyes floated in the air, staring downwards. With just a single glance, the space around them changed. The Crimson Moon Pavilion Lord and the other peak-stage immortal emperors directly entered the eye technique world, the illusory space Qin Wendian was in. I've said it before. Since the war has already started, all of you can stay behind. Qin Wendian's voice seemed to originate from the void. After that, he appeared in front of everyone. He was clad in white and had his hands clasped behind his back, exuding magnificence through the generations. Although his cultivation base was only at the mid-stage of the Immortal Emperor realm, he gave the peak-stage Immortal Emperors a feeling of invincibility. As the sound of his voice faded, the power of light illuminated everything, blinding the eyes of everyone. Within the boundless light, a terrifying destructive might was contained within. Qin Wendian punched out, transforming into a divine fist of light that directly blasted towards the old man from the Tianhe auction house. The old man frenziedly defended, yet the divine fist of light seemed to be able to penetrate through everything. An instant later, a hole appeared in the chest of the old man, penetrated by the power of light. The old man lowered his head, staring at the hole in his chest. His eyes were filled with boundless despair. Chapter 1598. In the airspace above the ancient river auction house, the demonic eye in the sky vanished as the atmosphere returned to normal. Everyone inclined their heads, only to see Qin Wentian quietly standing in the air. As for those peak-stage immortal emperors, they had already vanished. At this instant, the hearts of many people pounded violently, as though they were struck by something. Those experts who vanished were all peak-stage immortal emperors. Even in the powerful Lifefire city, peak-stage immortal emperors could already be considered hegemons of an area. They were the cornerstones of the major powers. However, not too long ago, all the peak-stage immortal emperors were killed by Qin Wentian, turning into nothingness. Who? Many people drew in a deep breath. They knew that the northern city regions of Lifefire City were about to change. The weak and useless governor's manner that had been suppressed for thousands of years was now displaying such a domineering stance for the first time. The leaders of the major powers were all killed. In the future, who would dare to stand out for them? The people of the ancient river auction house were all trembling with fear. Waves of shock rose in their hearts. They knew that the ancient river auction house was finished. Qin Wentian used the governor's manor's command to seal the auction house. No one could say anything. In addition, those who knew about the grudge between the Lifefire Empyrean and the Jialan clan understood that such a domineering governor was precisely someone the Lifefire Empyrean wanted. He would only reward Qin Wentian. After all, Qin Wentian had a good reason to act. In addition, the victor was king. If Qin Wentian died, the situation would be completely different. The direction of the situation would be the complete opposite. The people of the governor's manor stared at the supreme figure in the air. There was only boundless worship in their eyes. Go, search the ancient river auction house. A voice rang out. It was the voice of a vice-governor. Everyone awoke from their stupor and rushed into the ancient river auction house to conduct a search. Everyone was expelled and the auction house was sealed. The governor's manor stood guard here. From today onwards, the ancient river auction house would belong to the governor's manor and could be sold again. Lord Governor, before this, these people from the transaction pavilions also slandered our governor's manor and didn't follow the rules to pay tribute. How should we deal with them? At this moment, a deputy commander coldly spoke. Instantly, the pavilion lords of the trading pavilions trembled violently as they looked at Qin Wentian in the air with some fear. Before this, those transaction pavilions refused to pay the tribute, relying on the ancient river auction house to resist the governor's manor. Their crimes should be sealed off. However, this seat doesn't wish to go overboard and affect the normal operations of everyone in the city regions. Hence, other than what the vice-governors said earlier, I will increase the tribute by 5 times. Do any of you have any objections? Qin Wentian's voice was cold, sweeping his gaze over everyone as he spoke. We accept the punishment. The pavilion lords of the transaction pavilions all trembled as they nodded. At this moment, it was already considered polite for Qin Wentian to not do anything to them. How would they dare to disobey? If they really angered Qin Wentian, as long as he casually found an excuse, he would be able to confiscate their transaction pavilions. Also for everyone here, many of you are managing your own powers. As the governor of the northern city regions, this seat naturally hopes that everyone can manage their businesses smoothly. This seat has been in office for 50 years and has never done anything. I would like to apologize to everyone here, but that is already in the past. From today onwards, if anyone dares to cause trouble in the city regions I've notified, they will all be punished according to the laws of the governor's manor. Qin Wentian stood in the air as he spoke. As for everything that happened in the past, let it all be written off. This seat thanks all the powers that have been paying tribute, and I also hope that everyone can cooperate with the governor's manor and pay the tribute on time. Don't be like the ancient river auction house, scheming and scheming. Other than this, for those who haven't paid any tribute in the past tens of years, I won't pursue this matter. However, since this seat has already decided to reorganize the northern city regions, I hope that everyone can take the initiative to pay the tribute you owe me. Everyone instantly understood the meaning of Qin Wentian's words. Although he wouldn't pursue this matter, you guys still have to be more conscientious and pay the tribute. If not, no one would know what would happen in the future. These words seemed to be emotionless, yet they contained enough deterrence. There was no other reason than because Qin Wendian had sealed up the ancient river auction house, Crimson Moon Pavilion, Sky Incense Sect and other first-tier powers. At the same time, he even killed all the peak-stage immortal emperors. Who else would dare to provoke him? Since things have come to this seat will bid my farewell. After Qin Wendian spoke, he directly left this place for the people of the governor's manor to handle. He then soared through the air and headed towards the headquarters of the Crimson Moon Pavilion and Sky Incense Sect. After all, these two were first-tier powers with deep foundations. Even if the evil emperor personally went there, he might not be able to settle things. An earthquake occurred in the northern city regions. This news spread through the entire city regions at the fastest speed and even extended towards Lifire City. The matter of the ancient river auction house was too shocking and was a symbolic event. One could very well imagine what kind of storm it would cause. For a period of time, the entire city was in a state of turmoil as everyone was discussing this matter. Naturally, there were also many people paying attention to the Jialan aristocrat clan. Although the Jialan clan had never directly clashed with Governor Qin Wendian before, everyone understood that the past governors of the northern city regions either had miserable fates or kept a low profile. It was all because there was an extremely terrifying opponent behind them. Their strength was so great that they could use a formless power to influence the governor's manor. In fact, they didn't even need to act personally. It was just like the battle when Qin Wendian first became the governor. Although no one could find out where the soul-slaying needles came from, where did they come from? As long as Qin Wendian was slightly weaker, he would have already died in the civil war back then. How could there still be today? Hence, this symbolic battle could be said to be a declaration of war by Qin Wendian against the Jialan clan. He used a glorious victory, ruthlessly slapping the Jialan clan in the face. Next, how would the Jialan clan retaliate against Qin Wendian? The ancient river auction house, Crimson Moon Pavilion, and Sky Incense Sect were all raided in a single night. From then on, their names were removed from the northern city regions. To many powers, this was similarly shocking. The direct result of this matter was that after that day, the governor's manor became extremely lively. Those who had businesses in the northern city regions all took the initiative to pay tributes, no longer daring to be careless and wait for the governor's manor to come and collect their tributes. Also, for those powers who hadn't paid tributes for the past tens of years, they all obediently paid up what they didn't pay in the past. They were all very self-aware. In fact, other than paying up the tributes, some powers even gave up some extra resources. According to the rules of the governor's manor, these extra resources were considered as private tributes to the governor. Clearly, some powers were worried that Qin Wendian would settle scores with them later on. Hence, they used some underhanded methods. After Qin Wendian learned of this, he smiled and accepted it. Since others were willing to pay up, he naturally had to give them face. Only then would they feel at ease. If not, if he were to return the tributes, those people would surely tremble in fear. This also caused Qin Wendian to sigh. As expected, authority was a good thing. This was especially so for those powerful people, they could directly use their authority to plunder cultivation resources. The Jade Wave Pavilion was a place where divine weapons were traded. Behind the Jade Wave Pavilion was an aristocratic clan that was very powerful and belonged to the category of weaponsmiths. They had many emperor-ranked weapons and were extremely wealthy. And as for the Jade Wave Pavilion, it was a place where the aristocratic clan traded their emperor-ranked weapons, exchanging them for emperor-ranked stones as well as other cultivation resources. At this moment, an old man from the Jade Wave Pavilion walked in. The manager inside immediately walked up and respectfully called out, "I pay my respects to the clan lord." "Where's the young master?" the old man coldly asked. The young master, he. The manager's gaze evaded, he seemed to be hesitating. "Did you guys go to the governor's manor to pay tribute?" the old man continued asking. "Not yet," the young master said that we are not allowed to disturb him. The manager trembled with fear. "Do you know what happened at the ancient river auction house?" the old man asked again. "MHM," the manager nodded. "Right now, other than those in closed-door seclusion, who wouldn't know about such a major matter. In that case, you didn't tell the young master to pay tribute? The old man asked again, his words causing the manager to break out in cold sweat. After that, the old man walked past him and headed towards the backyard of the Jade Wave Pavilion. This place was isolated from immortal sense by a treasure. He forcefully barged in and a voice filled with rage rang out from within, "Who dares to be so impudent?" Bang! The door of the room was directly smashed open as screams of shock rang out from within. The old man stepped out and directly entered the room. After that, he saw clothes scattered all over the place and there were several young maidens wrapped in clothes staring at him with fear and trepidation. Their skin was extremely alluring and in the middle of these maidens, there was a young man at the immortal king realm. Right now, he was so frightened that his face turned pale. He called out, "Father, why are you here? The day of tribute has arrived. Are you not going to the governor's manor to pay tribute?" The old man calmly asked. "Father, I thought something major had happened. Those trash from the governor's manor, do they need us to pay tribute? In the past, every time they came to collect tributes, they would all be sent away by this child. This time around, we can just chase them away directly." The young man silently heaved a sigh of relief as he spoke. He initially thought that he had made a huge mistake. So it turned out that it was just a minor matter. A violent aura gushed forth from the old man. He took a step out, causing rumbling sounds to ring out as the bed directly shattered. The maidens on it all fell to the ground as they screamed in fear. They only felt a terrifying coldness enveloping them. "All of you, scram!" The old man roared in rage. The maidens directly wrapped themselves in clothes and fled in a sorry state, causing many people outside to feast their eyes on them. After that, screams of misery rang out from the backyard. The caretaker closed his eyes. His young master's talent in cultivation was trash. The old master told him to manage the Jade Wave Pavilion, but he was still indulging in sensual pleasures. He would never amount to anything. Not long after, the Jade Wave Pavilion sent out a group of people, bringing with them the amount of cultivation resources they hadn't paid for tens of years as they headed towards the governor's manor. Not only for the Jade Wave Pavilion, such a scene was also happening in the other major powers of the northern city regions. Just a single battle had completely changed the situation of the northern city regions. No one dared to not pay tribute to the governor's manor. For a period of time, the initiative of the northern city regions even surpassed the other regions of Lifire City. Chapter 1599. For the next period of time, Qin Wentian stayed in the governor's manor. The major and minor powers of the northern city regions all took the initiative to pay tribute. There was basically no need for him to personally go out to collect the tributes. In fact, Qin Wentian even gave the order not to take the initiative to collect the tributes. By doing so, it actually increased the pressure on the major powers of the northern city regions. In the governor's manor, Su Li came to report. He stood before Qin Wentian and stared at the handsome figure before him as he sighed ruefully in his heart. Back then, he once listened to the barbarian emperor's suggestion to kill Qin Wentian. After tens of years passed, the current Qin Wentian had actually grown to this extent. In the immortal emperor realm, he was like a divinity. Even the evil emperor had to admit that he wasn't a match for Qin Wentian. If Qin Wentian had such combat prowess back then, maybe the Lifire Empyrean wouldn't have been captured. The Jialan monarch would most probably already be a dead man. Let's hope that one day, Qin Wentian would still be able to rise up, strong enough to defeat the Lifire Empyrean. Only then would they have a chance to save Yi Qianyu. "How is it?" Qin Wentian asked. "All the major powers have finished paying their tributes. In addition, almost all of them have made up for the 4 times they didn't pay." Su Li replied. The threat of that battle was simply too great. Over 20 immortal emperors died, including several peak-stage immortal emperors. Who would still dare to act arrogantly? Oh! Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. That side has also paid their tributes. On the surface, the major powers of the Jialan clan have all taken the initiative to pay their tributes. Not only that, they didn't cause any trouble. Su Li nodded. Jialan clan. Qin Wendian murmured as a cold light flickered in his eyes. Such an enemy was truly terrifying. On the surface, they would never do anything to you, nor would they give you any excuse to deal with them. But in the dark, they were filled with killing intent, to the point where you wouldn't even be able to detect their silhouettes. In the future, be careful of the Jialan clan. Qin Wendian instructed. Yes. Su Li nodded. He naturally understood how dangerous the Jialan clan was. The Jialan clan was like a venomous snake. As for these tributes, they were nothing to the Jialan clan. The number of people in our governor's manor is still too little. Should we expand? Su Li asked. Although right now, the governor's manor's prestige was extremely high, how could Su Li not understand that this prestige was brought by Qin Wendian alone? If it wasn't for his strength, how could the governor's manor have such a glorious scene today? During the battle at the ancient river auction house, when Su Li saw the number of experts from the various major powers, he felt that the governor's manor was simply too weak. Any random first-tier power would be able to contend against the governor's manor, and the number of immortal emperors they had would only be slightly more than the governor's manor. Once Qin Wendian was gone, they wouldn't have any deterrence at all. Hence, he decided to take this opportunity to expand the governor's manor. Indeed. Qin Wendian nodded, but after that, he frowned again as he spoke. However, there's no rush. Wait for me to return from the Lifire Palace and distribute the rewards to everyone. After that, I will release the news to recruit more people. Those with high cultivation bases aren't fools, they would naturally understand that the governor's manor isn't as safe as we imagine it to be. The only thing that can attract them is cultivation resources. Also, the evil emperor has to personally oversee the recruitment of vice-governors and attendants. Do you understand what I mean? Qin Wendian asked. Su Li's eyes flashed. After that, he nodded, I understand. It's true that it's easy for people to infiltrate the governor's manor. It's just that I'm afraid many people wouldn't be willing to be controlled by the evil emperor willingly. I'll only ask a single question, we definitely won't probe into their secrets. If they don't agree, I'd rather not accept them. Qin Wendian spoke. Su Li nodded and departed. After Su Li left, a look of contemplation appeared on Qin Wendian's face. Not only did he have to guard against the Jialan clan, he also had to guard against the Lifire Palace. If he allowed the governor's manor to grow stronger, what if one day the Lifire Empyrean acted against him? With a single command, the people of the governor's manor would directly target him and his subordinates. What should he do then? He had to think of all these things in advance. In the Lifire Palace, the tribute date arrived. The governors of the 5 city regions once again gathered in the garden of the Lifire Empyrean's manor. There were serving maids waiting on them. However, the difference was that the atmosphere this time around was a little strange. In the past tens of years, the northern governor, Qin Wendian, was so low profile that it was terrifying. He rarely appeared in public, and every time he came here, he would inevitably hear mocking words. This was especially so from the central governor, Xia Ho, who didn't show any mercy when he mocked Qin Wendian. However, this time around, they had naturally heard of the incident in the northern city regions. Qin Wendian's domineering battle, sweeping through all the immortal emperors and killing several peak-stage immortal emperors. Although they didn't personally witness it, they could still imagine how tyrannical and domineering Qin Wendian was. In the past, Xia Ho had insulted Qin Wendian many times before. Now that this matter was spread out, it was like a slap to his face. Although Qin Wendian didn't say anything, the atmosphere was still somewhat abnormal. The 5 governors sat in their respective locations. Qin Wendian was dressed in white and was quietly sipping his tea. Xia Ho was drinking his wine, not saying a word, and had a tense expression on his face, as though he was very unhappy. Xia Ho naturally had his reasons to be unhappy. Tens of years ago, the matter regarding the Emperor Pavilion in the central city regions caused his governor's manor to be embroiled in a storm of scandal. The palace lord's personal serving maid, the Purple Moon Immortal Emperor, personally went to spread the news. After that, the governor's manor gave in and released the Emperor Pavilion. From then on, the Emperor Pavilion's development was unstoppable. Right now, it had long become one of the largest transaction markets in the central city regions. Every time he heard people talking about how Grandmaster D created another divine weapon, he would feel extremely unhappy. Right now, Qin Wentian, whom he had always mocked, rose up again. It was rumored that this time around, the northern governor's manor had collected all the tributes they hadn't collected in the past tens of years. No other powers dared to not pay up. Only using 50 years, Qin Wentian broke through to the mid-stage of the Immortal Emperor realm, causing such a huge commotion in the northern city regions. But in the past, even if Qin Wentian heard his insults, he couldn't be bothered to reply. Beauty Xiao propped up her chin with both hands, her beautiful eyes unmoving as she stared at Qin Wentian. She smiled, "You are getting more and more handsome." In the past when she praised Qin Wentian, Yin Qiu would always mock Qin Wentian. But this time around, Yin Qiu didn't say anything. She merely glanced at Qin Wentian who was quietly sipping his tea. "Governor Qin." Beauty Xiao called out. Qin Wentian turned his gaze over and smiled, "Governor Xiao, do you have any instructions for me? I've already invited Governor Qin for tens of years. Why hasn't Governor Qin come to my southern governor's manor as a guest yet?" Beauty Xiao's beautiful eyes flashed with a charming smile, as gentle as water. "During these years, I've truly been busy with my cultivation. Governor Xiao, please don't take offense." Qin Wentian smiled. "Now that you are already at the mid-stage of the Immortal Emperor realm, you should be done with your work, right? When would you be free to come over?" Beauty Xiao didn't seem to be tactful at all, she continued smiling. "If there's a chance, I will definitely come." Qin Wentian laughed. "If you are willing to come, you can treat my governor's manor as your own home." Beauty Xiao giggled, her voice seemed to contain some hints. Yin Qiu turned pale, he glanced at Qin Wentian, feeling extremely unhappy. This slut, he would always try to seduce Qin Wentian. He had been eyeing Qin Wentian for a very long time but Beauty Xiao had always ignored him. "If Governor Qin is free, you can come to my manor for a walk." Lin Ba also laughed. He merely did what he should do. Also, he spent 50 years to accomplish it. "Is there a need for you guys to act like this?" Xia Ho spoke in a low voice, his tone filled with unhappiness. Lin Ba started, he glanced at Qin Wentian and smiled but didn't say anything. Beauty Xiao and Yin Qiu also smiled at Qin Wentian only to see Qin Wentian sipping on his tea. He slowly placed the teacup down as a mocking smile appeared on his face. Regardless of him or his avatar Di Tian, this Xia Ho didn't give them any face at all. In the past, he kept a low profile and didn't want to cause trouble but this Xia Ho was as arrogant as ever. "Speaking of which, I'm ashamed. My cultivation base is too low and I spent a total of 50 years before I was able to help Palace Lord resolve your worries. Given Governor Xia Ho's prestige, I'm sure that when you were at the mid-stage of the Immortal Emperor realm, you would have already been able to dominate the northern city regions and settle everything easily. It's just that Palace Lord disdained to send Governor Xia Ho there. It's too much of a waste of talent." Qin Wentian calmly spoke, everyone could hear the mockery in his tone. Xia Ho turned his head and glanced at Qin Wentian, "Don't be so sarcastic with your words. This is just the beginning, how can you be so complacent? How can I be as imposing as Governor Xia Ho? Sitting in the central city regions and ruling over a region, there's nothing I can't accomplish." Back then, when the Emperor Pavilion's matter caused a huge commotion, did Governor Xia Ho even care about it? With a cracking sound, the wine cup in Xia Ho's hand shattered into dust. His eyes turned incomparably cold as he slammed his palm on the table. "Are you trying to stir up trouble?" Bang! Qin Wentian similarly slammed his palm on the table as a cold intent gushed forth from him. Governor Xia Ho has mocked me for so many years, but I ignored him. Now that I replied to Governor Xia Ho with a single sentence, it seems like I'm the one trying to stir up trouble. Governor Xia Ho is truly impressive. What do you want? Xia Ho's eyes gleamed with coldness. Qin Wentian's eyes narrowed as an evil smile appeared on his face. Since Governor Xia Ho can't stand this Qin, let's have a battle then. Whoever loses will give up the position of governor and scram out of Lifefire City. How about it? Everyone here was shocked. The light in Beauty Zhao's eyes grew even brighter. Qin Wentian was getting more and more handsome. Lin Ba and Yin Xiu also stared at Qin Wentian. This fellow actually issued a challenge to Xia Ho. Xia Ho's expression was extremely heavy. A mid-stage immortal emperor actually issued such a challenge to him. This by itself was a very face-smacking matter. This was simply looking down on him. I'm happy to accompany you. Xia Ho coldly spoke. Are you guys done messing around? A voice rang out. After that, everyone saw Zhuge Xiong flying over as he descended. Grand Governor. Everyone stood up and clasped their hands to Zhuge Xiong. How dare the two of you cause trouble in the Lifefire Empyrean's place? Zhuge Xiong coldly snorted. It's good to be a little angry. In addition, Qin Wentian has contributed greatly this time around. If he didn't have anger, how would he be able to settle the matter in the northern city regions? The Lifefire Empyrean's voice rang out. After that, the Lifefire Empyrean came over together with his two serving girls. Chapter 1600. Qin Wentian and the other governors immediately bowed when they saw the Lifefire Empyrean arriving. Your subordinates pay our respects to Palace Lord. The Lifefire Empyrean waved his hand and smiled at Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian, the matters in the northern city regions have been handled well. Your harvest this time around shouldn't be small, right? Reporting to Palace Lord, the various powers in the northern city regions have all taken the initiative to pay tributes. For the past tens of years, they have all been collected. In addition, there are also many powers that have privately given me some cultivation resources. Qin Wentian honestly reported, he didn't even hold back when he told the Lifefire Empyrean about his share. There's no need to report what they gave you. It's fine as long as there's no problem with the tributes. I didn't expect you to enter the mid-stage of the Immortal Emperor realm so quickly. Your cultivation speed is so fast that even I feel shocked. In the future, you will definitely have a bright future ahead of you. The Lifefire Empyrean wasn't stingy with his praise for Qin Wentian. Do you have any requests? Let's see if I can satisfy them. This is the duty of this subordinate. How would I dare to request anything from Palace Lord? Qin Wentian politely spoke. It's just that this subordinate hasn't seen Yi Qianyu for many years. I hope Palace Lord can allow this subordinate to pay her a visit. It has been so many years, but you still haven't forgotten your old ties. How rare and precious. I naturally won't obstruct you. Later on, I'll get Protector Chen to bring you there. The Lifefire Empyrean smiled and nodded, like he didn't mind at all. No one knew what the Lifefire Empyrean was thinking. Everyone, please take a seat. Just hand the tributes to Ziyue and Ziyue. The Lifefire Empyrean smiled. The 5 governors all handed the tributes to the 2 serving girls. It was rare for the Lifefire Empyrean to chat with them. The Lifefire Empyrean even said to Qin Wentian, Wentian, your talent is extraordinary and you will definitely achieve great things in the future. Right now, you should continue to temper yourself as a governor for a period of time. In the future, if you want the position of one of the 9 monarchs, I can give it to you. The 9 monarchs under the Lifefire Palace were all hegemons and lords of their own territories, controlling many minds and minds. Their authority was clearly much greater compared to a governor of a region in Lifefire City. In addition, the amount of cultivation resources they could obtain wasn't something a governor could compare to. This was truly a job with good benefits. Qin Wentian also didn't know if the Lifefire Empyrean truly wanted to rope him in or merely wanted to make use of him. But no matter what his true thoughts were, at least on the surface, the Lifefire Empyrean was extremely benevolent to him. This subordinate does not dare to have too many extravagant hopes, but I will follow the arrangements of the palace master. Qin Wentian was still as polite as ever, low profile and introverted. The Li-Fire Empyrean laughed, a deep meaning could be seen in his eyes. After the two maidservants were done counting, they handed 10% of the cultivation resources to the 5 commanders and left. Before leaving, Commander Xiahou did not forget to cast a cold glance at Qin Wentian. His gaze was as sharp as a knife. Qin Wentian didn't leave. He followed Protector Chen, who brought him to the Li-Fire Palace back to the Li-Fire jail. After they left, the Li-Fire Empyrean sat on a chair in the garden. Purple Moon laid on his lap as she spoke. Palace Lord, back then Qin Wentian was still at the peak stage of the Immortal King realm. He only broke through to the Immortal Emperor realm after the Jialan monarch acted against Yi Qianyu. Now, just over 50 years have passed and he has already broken through to the mid-stage. We have to guard against this man. Oh. Do you think he would do anything to me? The Li-Fire Empyrean laughed. 50 years have passed and he still didn't hold back in his request to meet with Yi Qianyu. Clearly, he has never forgotten her in his heart. Also, Yi Qianyu is Palace Lord's enemy. Most probably, Qin Wentian's heart has never truly submitted to her before. If he grew stronger, he would surely have thoughts of rebelling. Purple Moon spoke in a light voice. Ha, do you think the Jialan clan is so easy to deal with? I actually hope that he would be able to endure until the day he grows stronger. In that case, as long as Yi Qianyu is in my hands, he would continue to fight against the Jialan clan. It wouldn't be too late to act against him then. Let alone the mid-stage, as long as he is at the Immortal Emperor realm, I would be able to crush him easily. The Li-Fire Empyrean laughed. Purple Moon didn't say anything more. Most probably, the Li-Fire Empyrean could see things more clearly than her. In the dark and sinister prison, Yi Qianyu was currently in her cell. She was currently facing an ancient mirror and combing her long hair. Although this Li-Fire jail was extremely sinister, she still took care of herself very well. Her cell was also very clean. It's been 50 years. Are you tired? In the opposite cell, a figure with disheveled hair spoke in a low and hoarse voice. Yi Qianyu couldn't be bothered with him, she didn't reply. But that's fine as well, allowing me to feast my eyes. For such a beautiful and sexy woman like you, the Li-Fire Empyrean is truly willing to bear to lock you up here. Sadly, there aren't any jailers here. If not, just based on that face of yours, you would surely be tortured and humiliated. Can you shut that smelly mouth of yours? Yi Qianyu calmly spoke, her beautiful eyes flashing with coldness. Ha ha ha, in the past, it was too boring here. Now that there's finally a beauty for me to tease, I naturally have more words to say. You spend all your time grooming yourself, could it be that you are still fantasizing about that ant breaking the rules? That person coldly laughed. I advise you to stop dreaming. Since the Li-Fire Empyrean locked you up here, how could he allow that ant to soar into the sky? Li-Fire Empyrean. Yi Qianyu coldly laughed. He is too confident. As the Li-Fire Empyrean, he naturally has a lofty status. Maybe, he thinks that he can control everything. One day, when he discovers that he is wrong, he might regret using me to control him. Is that so? If the Li-Fire Empyrean is wrong, it would definitely be because he didn't lock us up together in the same cage. If that was the case, we wouldn't be so lonely. Ha ha ha. That person laughed maniacally. Yi Qianyu's beautiful eyes flashed with killing intent. Tap, tap, tap. A crisp sound rang out. That maniacal laughter rang out as he turned his gaze towards the distance. In the darkness, there seemed to be a white-robed figure slowly moving closer. Gradually, a handsome face appeared in her vision. Upon seeing this face, the coldness in Yi Qianyu's eyes instantly melted. Her beautiful eyes were filled with a smile, as gentle as water as she quietly stared at the handsome figure walking closer. As for the figure in the cage opposite her, his eyes narrowed. The white-robed figure walked closer step by step. His eyes stared at the person who was disrespectful to Yi Qianyu. His eyes gleamed with a resplendent light, directly piercing into that person's eyes. That person screamed in agony and clutched his eyes as red liquid flowed from his eyes. Qin Wendian no longer looked at him. He walked towards Yi Qianyu's cage. Yi Qianyu was currently smiling at him as she spoke in a low voice, "You have come." Qin Wendian nodded, doing his best to maintain the smile on his face. "Palace mistress, you are still as beautiful as ever. Do you know that I'm beautiful now?" Yi Qianyu giggled as she stared at Qin Wendian. Qin Wendian smiled awkwardly. This woman truly didn't have the awareness of being in a cage. Maybe, she intentionally acted this way in front of him. "You came here for 50 years. Have you done something for the Lifire Palace?" Yi Qianyu asked. "Right now, I'm the governor of the northern city regions. Jialan's Jialan clan is located there. Not long ago, I did some reorganization in the northern city regions." Qin Wendian calmly spoke, summarizing everything that happened during these years. Yi Qianyu nodded lightly, "You have to be careful." She knew that regardless of the Lifire Palace or the Jialan clan, they weren't so easy to deal with. And Qin Wendian was right in the middle. One could very well imagine how much pressure he was under right now. "I will." Qin Wendian seriously nodded. He then spoke, "Palace mistress, can you come over?" "Why? You want to take advantage of me?" Yi Qianyu had a charming smile on her face. "No way." Qin Wendian had a face filled with black lines. After that, he sat down on the wet ground and took out a gigantic emperor's stone. After that, a small astral sword appeared in his hand as he started to carve on the stone. Yi Qianyu stared at Qin Wendian's actions only to hear Qin Wendian speaking, "Back then after you helped me escape, I lost all news of you. After that, I went to the lake in the Jialan Emperor's city and started to carve on it. It was at that time that I broke through to the Immortal Emperor realm. Right now, I'm already at the mid-stage of the Immortal Emperor realm. I'm going to carve another statue for you." "Sure." Yi Qianyu happily agreed. She lay on the ground with her legs crossed, her posture extremely seductive. She pulled at her long hair, allowing it to cascade down. Her beautiful countenance was filled with charm as she spoke in a gentle voice, "Let's carve it according to how I am now." Qin Wendian was astonished. He stared at the alluring figure of Yi Qianyu as he nodded his head. Astral light flashed as the Emperor's stone gradually transformed into a beautiful statue. The beauty lay on the ground, exuding a demonic charm that was extremely alluring. "Done." Qin Wendian finished carving and showed it to Yi Qianyu. Yi Qianyu nodded, "All right, you can go back now. In the future when you miss me, just take it out for me to take a look." "Do you really not want to see me that much?" Qin Wendian bitterly smiled. "Back then, weren't you the one hiding from me? I was afraid that you would annoy me." Yi Qianyu had a devilish smile on her face. Qin Wendian felt a little guilty. "Okay, wait for me." Yi Qianyu gently nodded. "Remember, you have to keep a low profile. Even if you have sufficient strength one day, you still have to keep a low profile. Unless you have the confidence to kill someone in a single strike." "I understand." Qin Wendian seriously nodded. He knew who Yi Qianyu was referring to. Qin Wendian glanced at Yi Qianyu before he turned and departed. He didn't say a single word to the blind man. That blind man also endured the pain and didn't dare to speak. Sometimes, life was more important than pride. Even if he was living a life worse than death here, he still feared death. Yi Qianyu glanced at the blind man as a charming smile appeared on her face. Sadly, that blind man wouldn't be able to see it. Maybe, this was the reason why Qin Wendian turned him blind. Chapter 1601. In the northern city regions of Lifire City, after Qin Wendian returned from the Lifire Palace, he gave out the rewards. There were 3,000 governors and each of them had great harvests, causing them to sigh in admiration. Although they had suffered a lot during these years, it was all worth it. The governor was truly generous. In the future, who would still dare to say that their northern governor's manor was the poorest? Because of the commotion earlier, news of this insignificant matter circulated, causing many people to sigh in admiration. Seems like Qin Wentian's harvests this time around were very great. If not, how could he be so generous? However, this was also within expectations. He collected all the tributes from the past 50 years in one go, in addition to the additional tributes paid by some major powers to Qin Wentian. How terrifying was his harvest exactly? After that, the governor's manor officially started to recruit people, including vice-governors and attendants. The governor's manor was going to undergo a large-scale expansion. With the foundation from before, it was unknown how many experts entered the governor's manor. Right now, the northern governor's manor was different from before. Before this, it was purely because they were bullied. But after that battle, all the major powers in the northern city regions no longer dared to be disrespectful to the governor's manor. Naturally, there were still many people who had misgivings in their hearts. The Jialan clan was still around. As long as the Jialan clan was there, the governor's manor wouldn't have an easy time. They didn't know when a conflict would erupt. In addition, after arriving at the governor's manor, some immortal emperors heard that if they wanted to become vice-governors or attendants, they actually had to pass the evil emperor's test. The test was to be controlled by the evil emperor before he would question them. Although it was under the witness of everyone, there were still many arrogant people who rejected and chose to leave the governor's manor. After a period of recruitment, the governor's manor expanded to a total of 5,000 people. There were 5 vice-governors and 50 attendants. The vice-governors were all mid-stage immortal emperors and the attendants were all initial-stage immortal emperors. Such a lineup was similar to the other governors' manors in the other regions. The northern governor's manor now had over 10 immortal emperors. In this case, they wouldn't be inferior when facing those first-tier powers. Several days later, a shocking piece of news circulated around the northern city regions. The Pavilion Lord of the Emperor Pavilion in the central city regions, Grandmaster D, came to pay a visit to the northern governor's manor. When this news circulated out, many people paid close attention to this visit. After that, there was another rumor that before this, Grandmaster D had also paid a visit to the eastern governor's manor, Lin Ba, the southern governor's manor, Beauty Shao, and the western governor's manor, Yin Qiu. The northern governor's manor was the last place Grandmaster D visited. Out of the 5 governors, only Grandmaster D didn't pay a visit to the central governor's manor where the Emperor Pavilion was located. Many people couldn't help but to talk about the scandal that happened tens of years ago in the central governor's manor. Most probably, at that time, Grandmaster D was already on bad terms with Governor Xia Ho. Since Grandmaster D has already paid a visit to the various governors' manors, there shouldn't be much for him to pay a visit this time around. However, just when everyone was indifferent, a shocking piece of news suddenly circulated out from the governor's manor. Governor Qin Wentian has already handed the ancient river auction house to Grandmaster D to manage. After some time, Grandmaster D would bring people over from the Emperor Pavilion in the central city regions to reopen the ancient river auction house and hold a grand opening ceremony. Also, on the day of the opening, Grandmaster D would personally take out the treasures he forged to be auctioned. Naturally, as an exchange, Grandmaster D also paid a sufficient amount of Emperor-ranked stones and gifted several peak-stage Emperor-ranked weapons to Governor Qin Wentian. When this news circulated out, the northern city regions were in an uproar. Countless people were shocked. Although the ancient river auction house was sealed, the transaction pavilions outside were still there. Although they lost some popularity during these days, because of the commotion caused by that incident, the fame of the ancient river auction house grew even higher compared to the past. If it was really sealed, the popularity of the auction house would naturally fade away and people would gradually forget about it. However, someone was coming to take over. Also, it was the Emperor Pavilion, an extremely famous Emperor Pavilion in the central city regions. In fact, even in Lifire City. One could already predict that when Grandmaster D brought people over to reopen the ancient river auction house, not only would the popularity of the ancient river auction house not decrease, it would grow even more prosperous. At the same time, the governor's manor released another piece of news. Governor Qin Wentian wanted 2 protectors to assist him. As long as they signed a contract for 100 years, other than the remuneration from the Lifeire Palace, Qin Wentian would also take out a peak-stage emperor-ranked weapon from Grandmaster D for them to use. This news instantly attracted the attention of many peak-stage immortal emperors. What level of strength did Qin Wentian have? He killed over 10 immortal emperors in a single battle, including several peak-stage ones. He also had the assistance of the evil emperor, a peak-stage demon emperor. Now that he wanted protectors and not vice-governors, there was basically no need to say anything. Everyone understood that Qin Wentian wanted a peak-stage immortal emperor. If not, why would he need protectors? If it was a mid-stage immortal emperor, he would have 5 vice-governors under him. On the day the ancient river auction house reopened, naturally, it couldn't be called the ancient river auction house anymore. Since Grandmaster D already became the new owner, the name was naturally changed to the Emperor Pavilion. Right now, the signboard of the ancient river auction house was changed to the Emperor Pavilion. Today, the Emperor Pavilion held a grand ceremony. The Emperor Pavilion Lord Di Tian, the Grand Supervisor Mo Fei and the young miss of the Mo clan, Mo Junyi, were all here to personally host the opening ceremony. Naturally, there were also many guests, including the Mo clan that specialized in formations. The Mo clan's clan leader personally came here. As the Emperor Pavilion grew stronger and stronger, the Mo clan leader felt that his decision back then was correct. In the future, Grandmaster D's accomplishments would surely be extremely high. Just right now, Grandmaster D's proficiency in weaponsmithing had already caused many peak-stage immortal emperors to sigh in admiration. Everything in the auction house was ready-made. The items left behind by the ancient river auction house could be directly used by the Emperor Pavilion. There was an incomparably gigantic auction house, tens of thousands of spectator stands, as well as a 3-story VIP lounge, as well as an auction stage at the center of the circular auction house. It could be lifted up from below, directly sending people up to the auction stage. The design was extremely ingenious, even the Emperor Pavilion in the central city regions couldn't be compared to this. Today, the auction house was naturally filled to the brim. Even the corridors were filled with people and there was a sea of people outside. Even if they couldn't enter, they still wanted to join in the liveliness outside. They wanted to see what treasures the Emperor Pavilion would bring out this time around. This also directly caused the trading market outside the auction house to become even more lively compared to the ancient river auction house back then. This involuntarily caused people to sigh. The ancient river auction house had become someone else's wedding dress. Naturally, this was also because of the fame of the Emperor Pavilion. If it was another major power, they might not be able to witness such a scene. As expected, Grandmaster D didn't disappoint. The divine weapons he personally forged were all peak-stage emperor-ranked weapons, and they were all the best among the best. Many people competed for them, and it was extremely lively. In the end, all of them were sold at sky-high prices. Other than this, the other items auctioned off were all extremely rare treasures, causing people to be filled with excitement. During the entire auction, everyone was in high spirits, silently sighing at the Emperor Pavilion's reputation. After this auction, the fame of the Emperor Pavilion instantly expanded in the northern city regions. The Emperor Pavilion that came from the central city regions, as well as Grandmaster D, truly lived up to his name. Those who were fortunate enough to participate in this auction were all filled with excitement, praising the Emperor Pavilion unceasingly. And this time around, in the backyard of the ancient river auction house, there were still many people here to pay their respects. Other than the Mo clan and a few other major powers, the other experts were all from the major powers in the central city regions. After the banquet was set up, Di Tian sat at the host's seat. Although he was wearing a mask, he still exuded a sense of mystery. He lifted his wine cup and smiled at everyone. Many thanks for everyone coming to support me. I, D, thank everyone for your kindness. In the future, when I open my Emperor Pavilion in the northern city regions, I hope that everyone can take good care of me. That's only natural. All of us here are first-tier powers of the northern city regions. We are all operating in the northern city regions, we naturally have to take care of each other and even form an alliance. Only then would we not be bullied by others. An expert laughed, his words causing a strange light to flash in D. Tian's eyes. Being bullied by others is too serious. Everyone, as a first-tier power of the northern city regions, who would dare to bully all of you? Ha, Grandmaster D can't even guess this? That person laughed, revealing a meaningful smile to D. Tian. This ancient river auction house was once a first-tier power as well. The eyes under D. Tian's mask froze as a sharp glint of light flickered within. The ancient river auction house. The spearhead of this spear was pointed directly at the governor's manor, at Qin Wentian. When he thought of this, D. Tian couldn't help but feel a little funny. Most probably, even in his dreams, the person who spoke would never imagine that the person he was referring to was actually sitting right in front of him. I heard that the ancient river auction house refused to pay any tributes and openly went against the governor's manor. Because of this, the governor's manor sealed the ancient river auction house. Could it be that there's a hidden story that I don't know about? D. Tian pretended not to know as he asked in bewilderment. Ha, Grandmaster D, to tell you the truth, the northern city regions are a little more complicated. If the governor's manor has the ability to protect us, it's only natural for us to pay tributes. But in the past tens of years, the governor's manor didn't care about external affairs. Just a single time they acted, they directly annihilated several major powers, including a first-tier power. After that, they collected the tributes from everyone in the northern city regions. How can this be considered as working for the northern city regions? They are clearly using force to coerce us. That person shook his head and sighed. AI, the governor's manner is already so domineering and tyrannical. Without the lips, the teeth would be interdependent. All of us feel extremely uneasy in our hearts. Another person spoke. D. Tian glanced at the people here and his heart was like a mirror. So it turned out that the drunkard had an ulterior motive. These people weren't here to pay a visit to congratulate him. Back then when I went to the governor's manor, I asked Governor Qin to let me manage the ancient river auction house. Governor Qin didn't make things difficult for me. D. Tian pretended to be shocked as he spoke, waiting for these people to reveal their trump cards. What did they want exactly? The governor's manor has just finished reorganizing, they naturally wouldn't be in a hurry to act. Right now, they are still developing their own power. During these days, the governor's manor has been expanding unceasingly. I wonder what will happen in the future. That person continued, Grandmaster D, although we temporarily don't know what the future will be like, we have to be prepared for danger in times of peace. Chapter 1602. For the next period of time, things were very calm. No one came to look for D. Tian again and the Emperor Pavilion didn't encounter any trouble. Everything slowly returned to the right track. Today, outside the Jialan clan, there were endless carriages pulled by powerful servants or terrifying demon kings. Regardless of mid-stage immortal emperors or peak-stage immortal emperors, all of them would descend from the air and walk into the Jialan clan to show their respect. D. Tian felt some shock in his heart. There were many major powers here, including some from the central city regions. However, these people didn't even bother to hide their words. From this, one could very well imagine how terrifying the Jialan clan's influence in the northern city regions was. This simply exceeded his imagination. In that case, the people who came here today should all be supporting the Jialan clan. One must know that for a transaction ground to flourish, it had to have a supporting set. Right now, all the transaction pavilions were closed, leaving only the Emperor Pavilion to support it. Instantly, the atmosphere became extremely dull as the number of people gradually decreased. And just like what D. Tian had expected, several days later, there were people who came to pay a visit, bringing over a gift that D. Tian didn't accept back then. This time around, D. Tian accepted it. D. Tian, I'm afraid you must have offended someone. The Mo clan leader, Mo Ting, spoke. MHM, I heard that the Jialan clan is extremely influential in this region. The Liefire Empyrean arranged for Qin Wentian to come here because of this. Governor Qin once had a very deep conflict with the Jialan monarch. Di Tian nodded and spoke honestly, he didn't intentionally act dumb. After that, on the second day, the transaction pavilions in this region reopened. There were more people who came here to auction their treasures. After the people in the northern city regions learned of this, they seemed to have understood something and would often come here for a stroll. Sir, you are? Di Tian asked. Everyone laughed, they weren't angered by Di Tian's words. This was a normal reaction. After all, this matter implicated the Liefire Empyrean and the Jialan clan. Who would dare to take sides so easily? After all, Di Tian came from the central city regions. His headquarters wasn't here and he wasn't restricted by this region. He naturally hoped that there would be no conflict and not participate in this matter. That was the best choice. One could only say that these people weren't afraid that Qin Wentian would know their stance. Or to put it more accurately, their stance was already very clear, they clearly supported the Jialan clan. The governor's manor handed the ancient river auction house to Di Tian to manage. In that case, they would destroy this transaction point completely. From the outside looking in, one could see numerous pavilions arranged in an orderly fashion, as well as towering ancient palaces. From the outside to the inside, the terrain continued to rise upwards, exuding a majestic and imposing aura. Even the entrance of the Jialan clan was like an impregnable fortress. There's naturally a reason why the Jialan clan can be so powerful to this extent. This time around, they did this to teach us a lesson and not to completely offend us. In addition, given how vast the transaction market is, there would naturally be a huge number of transactions happening every day. The Jialan clan would definitely be responsible for the losses. If not, why would those people sacrifice their own benefits to cooperate with the Jialan clan? If we really destroy this entire region, the Jialan clan would have to pay a huge price. Di Tian analyzed. Mo Junyi's beautiful eyes flashed with a bright light as she seriously nodded her head. Until one day, an invitation was sent to the Emperor Pavilion, inviting him to attend the birthday banquet of a young miss from the Jialan clan. From this point, one could very well imagine how powerful the Jialan clan was. Di Tian stood in the air outside the Emperor Pavilion, staring at the increasingly deserted transaction market. Many transaction pavilions directly closed their doors. Although they knew that this would cause them great losses, they still seemed to have come to a tacit agreement, causing Di Tian to feel a chill in his heart. The number of people coming here grew fewer and fewer. The number of people in the crowd was decreasing, and when they saw Di Tian in the air, a look of pity flashed in their eyes. For the next few days, the Emperor Pavilion was still as lively as ever. However, Mo Fei discovered a problem. Many transaction pavilions around the Emperor Pavilion closed their doors one after another, as though they had come to a tacit agreement. As time flowed by, more and more transaction pavilions closed. Di Tian nodded. If this is the case, I'm really curious. Please enter. Grandmaster Di, let's enter together. The host of the birthday banquet this time around is a famous young miss from the Jialan clan. Although she rarely shows herself, she is a famous beauty. Grandmaster Di, you will be able to feast your eyes on her. That immortal emperor laughed. For those who came, if they weren't powerful characters, they were all people with powerful backgrounds. Today, all of them were invited here by the Jialan clan. Yes, the Jialan clan's prestige in the northern city regions is extremely high. It can be said that they are the backbone of the major powers in the northern city regions and can completely replace the governor's manor. As for Governor Qin, the matter this time around caused all of us to feel panic in our hearts. We don't know what will happen in the future. Hence, we have to be prepared. If Governor Qin treats us well, everything will be fine. But if Governor Qin can't tolerate us, we definitely can't just sit here and wait for death. Staring at the empty table before him, Di Tian's eyes gleamed with sharpness. The influence of the Jialan clan was truly terrifying. The two of them entered the Jialan clan together and handed over their invitation cards. There were serving girls who came to lead the way. Each of the serving girls was dressed elegantly yet didn't lose their sexiness. They were all rare beauties, simply dazzling the eyes of those who saw them. Di Tian stood outside the Jialan clan and stared at this majestic place. He had a clearer understanding of how strong the Jialan clan was. They actually invited so many experts to the birthday banquet of a young miss. Most probably, the Jialan clan wanted to display their strength to the major powers in the northern city regions. Only by doing so would the other major powers be more loyal to them. Even when compared to the Li-Fire Palace, the Jialan clan wasn't inferior at all. The opponents of the governor's manor had acted. Both parties had a tacit understanding and didn't mention anything about what happened during these days. After exchanging some pleasantries, the other party bade farewell and departed. Di Tian nodded. Is the influence of the Jialan clan in the northern city regions really so terrifying? Di Tian's eyes gleamed with sharpness as he stared at this person and laughed. Prepare? What do you mean by that? What should we do? It was unknown when Mo Junyi appeared beside Di Tian as she asked. The Emperor Pavilion in the central city regions had already stabilized and was flourishing. They came to the northern city regions to expand their business and decided to stay here. Initially, they thought that they would be able to develop very quickly, but who would have thought that the Jialan clan would suddenly give them a head-on blow? All of us will bid our farewell as well. Everyone stood up and took their leave. Soon, the lively banquet was only left with the people from the central city. The people from the northern city had all left. I understand. Qin Wentian nodded. Naturally, although this person's words were very direct, he didn't say anything overboard. He only said to prevent Qin Wentian from acting against them. Even if news of this circulated out, Qin Wentian wouldn't be able to do anything to them. Grandmaster Di has been in Li-Fire City for many years. I'm sure you should know some things regarding the situation in the northern city regions, right? That person asked. In the vast Li-Fire City, there was only a single place that could be mentioned in the same breath as the Jialan clan. That place was none other than the Li-Fire Palace. Their roots are extremely deep. It has been so many years and the Jialan clan has long established themselves here. There are simply too many powers involved. Mo Ting nodded. This Qin Wentian is truly audacious, actually using such a tyrannical method to act. I believe that the Jialan clan would definitely retaliate against him. As for you, although you rejected the Jialan clan, you don't have any grudges with them. The Jialan clan might act against you, but they wouldn't be too ruthless. You have to be careful. Grandmaster Di, long time no see. Someone came over to greet Di Tian upon seeing him. It was none other than the person who attended the banquet back then. A deep smile could be seen in his eyes when he stared at Di Tian. The famous Grandmaster Di of Li-Fire City had no choice but to lower his head to the Jialan clan after coming to the northern city regions. Unless you don't want to stay in the northern city regions anymore, the Jialan clan would definitely make sure you can no longer stay here. As he spoke, he passed the interspatial ring back to Little Bamboo. Little Bamboo brought it to Helanchen, but Helanchen casually smiled and kept it. Since this is the case, I won't disturb Grandmaster Di any further. Helanchen. That person smiled and nodded. After that, Di Tian's heart was as clear as a mirror. He received the interspatial ring and sent his immortal sense into it to take a look. After that, he spoke, this gift is too valuable, Di, truly don't dare to accept it. I hope Brother Jialan won't blame me. He followed the serving girl into the inner regions, witnessing how luxurious and powerful the Jialan clan was. He couldn't help but to compare the Jialan clan to the Li-Fire Palace. His original self had been to the Li-Fire Palace many times before, he naturally understood. The Jialan clan was located in the central region of the northern city regions. Their location was even better compared to the governor's manor, and the area they occupied was more than 10 times that of the governor's manor. It was like an incomparably majestic city within a city. However, what made Mo Fei even more shocked was that gradually, the number of people willing to send their treasures to the Emperor Pavilion to be auctioned decreased. They were already unable to support the normal operations of the auction house. If this continued on, unless Tian brought out his own treasures to be auctioned daily, the auction house would surely close down. The implications of this matter are too great. I came here from the central city regions and I'm sure everyone knows that I'm here for the sake of the Emperor Pavilion's operations. I'm not willing to be embroiled in this storm. After all, I also know that this matter doesn't merely concern the governor's manor, it concerns the upper echelons as well. If Governor Qin wants to collect tributes, I'll naturally pay them as well. I'm sure the governor's manor wouldn't do anything to me. Tian calmly replied. Grandmaster D, we understand your intentions. This is a small token of my appreciation, I hope Grandmaster D will kindly accept it. A figure stood up and took out an interspatial ring. Little Bamboo, who was beside Tian, received it and passed it to Tian. Just wait, there will naturally be people coming to look for us. Tian calmly spoke. A strange look flashed through the beautiful Mo Junyi's eyes as she asked, how do you know? Borrowing the commotion caused by the governor's manor raiding the ancient river auction house, the popularity of the Emperor Pavilion was already at the peak. But in just a short span of a month, the popularity of the Emperor Pavilion plummeted to the freezing point. They naturally knew the reason, everyone in the northern city regions knew. Long time no see. Tian laughed. Chapter 1603. Tian was brought to a majestic public square. The banquet here had already been prepared and experts were as common as the clouds. Today, there were actually several hundred people here. In addition, each of them exuded an extraordinary aura. Other than those serving girls, more than half of them were immortal emperors. How terrifying! When Tian and his group arrived, there were instantly people who came to welcome them. Grandmaster D. A young man directly walked towards Tian. Although they had never met him before, Tian's mask was simply too conspicuous. As long as one heard of him, they would know who he was the moment they saw him. My name is Jelan Jun, I've long heard of Grandmaster D's name. It's truly my fortune to be able to meet you today. Jelan Jun's tone was sincere and polite. As a young immortal emperor of the Jelan clan, Tian actually couldn't sense any arrogance from him, only humility. This made Tian sigh in admiration. There was indeed a reason why the Jelan clan could be so powerful for so many years, able to contend against the Lifire Empyrean and not be at a disadvantage. The first impression Tian had was that the Jelan clan's members were extremely outstanding. Brother Jelan is too polite. Tian nodded lightly. Grandmaster D, please follow me. Jelan Jun bowed slightly, like a junior leading the way. He didn't feel the slightest bit unhappy that Tian had rejected their Jelan clan's goodwill for the first time. He led Tian to a seat very close to them as he spoke, Grandmaster, please take a seat. Many people turned their gazes towards Tian as their eyes gleamed with sharpness. Seems like the Jelan clan regarded Tian very highly. But when one thought about it, this was only normal. Putting aside Tian's strength for now, just his proficiency in formations and weaponsmithing, in addition to the Emperor Pavilion he founded, was sufficient to win him respect. In addition, for such an outstanding weaponsmithing grandmaster, it was very difficult for him to not be respected by the Dao. If they could gain the friendship of Grandmaster Tian, many would naturally be happy to see it happen. Hence, many experts from the major powers all raised their wine cups and walked over to Tian's side to toast him. At the same time, they introduced themselves in a low voice, wanting to establish a good relationship with him in the future. Grandmaster Tian. A person in front of Tian called out. Tian glanced over and saw two people staring back at him. One was a middle-aged man with a smile on his face and the other was a young man with sharp eyes. The middle-aged man was a peak-stage immortal emperor while the young man was an initial-stage immortal emperor. I am Zhou Zhou, and this is my son, Zhou Yan, the middle-aged man said with a smile. Uncle Zhou is the current clan leader of the Zhou clan of the northern city regions. The previous generation of the Zhou clan has a marriage relationship with our Jialan clan. Jalan Jun, who was at the side, smiled. Di Tian nodded. Before this, his original body already knew that the Jialan clan's influence in the northern city regions wasn't purely based on strength. There were many who were related by marriage, as well as those who had mutual benefits. The Jialan clan has been in this region for far too many years, and through generations of inheritance, there were many females from the Jialan clan who married into the major powers of the northern city regions. In addition, once there was a marriage relationship, the Jialan clan would do their best to support the growth of the bride and groom. Hence, many of the major powers that had a marriage relationship with the Jialan clan all grew to become aristocratic clans. From generation to generation, one could imagine how vast the Jialan clan's social network was. I pay my respects to Senior Zhou. Di Tian smiled and nodded in return. In the Jialan clan, he naturally knew that he should maintain a humble attitude. Right now, he had received a gift from the Jialan clan. At the very least, on the surface, he had already boarded the Jialan clan's ship. Grandmaster D is too polite. Given Grandmaster D's status, you can just call me by my name. Zhou laughed. Brother Zhou. Qin Wentian didn't stand on ceremony either, smiling as he called out. In that case, wouldn't I become a junior? Zhou Yan, who was at the side, started. He then spoke in a somewhat depressed manner. That won't do. Let's talk about our own matters. I think it's better for me to continue addressing you as Grandmaster D. Brother Zhou Yan, feel free to do as you please. Di Tian laughed. Grandmaster D, there's naturally no need for me to praise your weaponsmithing abilities. The entire Lifire city knows that you are extremely powerful, but what is your current cultivation base? I actually have no way to tell. Zhou Yan curiously asked. I'm not as passionate about the martial path as I am about weaponsmithing. There's no need to mention it. Di Tian laughed. He used a sealing technique to conceal his current cultivation base. Actually, I'm a little puzzled. Since Grandmaster D has such extraordinary achievements in weaponsmithing, I'm sure your talent in the martial path is also very high. Although Grandmaster D's status isn't something Lu Feibai can compare to, why didn't Grandmaster D teach Lu Feibai a lesson back then when he challenged him? Zhou Yan laughed, causing the gazes of many to turn over. If one were to say that Grandmaster D had a stain on his reputation, this matter could be considered a small one. Although he had no reason to accept the challenge, he still chose to avoid it and didn't accept Lu Feibai's challenge. Maybe it's just like the rumors in the outside world. Although my weaponsmithing abilities are passable, my combat prowess is extremely weak. I have no way to defeat Lu Feibai and naturally chose to avoid the challenge. Di Tian didn't seem to mind Zhou Yan's words as he casually laughed. Is that so? Zhou Yan's eyes gleamed with sharpness. I don't really believe it. Zhou Yan, don't be rude. Zhou berated. Zhou Yan had an apologetic look on his face as he smiled at Di Tian and didn't say anything more. Di Tian casually glanced at his surroundings. When he saw a figure, his eyes suddenly froze. His pupils shrank and a cold light flashed in his eyes. The Jialan monarch seemed to have sensed something. He turned his head back only to see Di Tian's eyes calmly looking at him. Upon seeing the Jialan monarch looking over, Di Tian lightly nodded his head. The Jialan monarch smiled and nodded in reply. After that, he turned his gaze over, feeling some bewilderment in his heart. His senses had always been extremely sharp. Earlier, he clearly felt a trace of coldness, but why did it vanish in the blink of an eye? Could it be that his senses were wrong? Or could it be that he had offended Di Tian in some way? Although the Jialan monarch had been stationed outside for a long period of time, he also knew of Di Tian's identity. He was very sure that he had never interacted with a weaponsmith proficient in sealing before, let alone offending Di Tian. Di Tian also paid more attention to the Jialan monarch. If it was possible, he wanted nothing more than to kill the Jialan monarch on the spot. Now that he encountered Di Tian here, he naturally wanted to observe him. As one of the 9 monarchs under the Lifefire Palace, the Jalan monarch's authority was extremely great. However, his status in the Jalan clan wasn't too high. At the very least, some people in the Jalan clan didn't respect him that much. "That's my uncle, one of the 9 monarchs in the Lifefire Palace," Jalan Jun explained in a low voice when he saw Di Tian looking at the Jalan monarch. As someone from the Jalan clan, why would he be in charge of the Lifefire Palace? Di Tian curiously asked. "Naturally, I fought for it from the upper echelons." Jalan Jun laughed. Di Tian started. The upper echelons might be referring to the upper echelons of the Lifefire Palace. As expected, Jalan Jun had heaven-defying methods. "Palace Lord, I'm sure you have some objections, right?" Di Tian laughed. "That's only natural. My Jalan clan has always been extremely powerful. Even for Lifefire City, the entire northern city regions are under our control. Among the 9 monarchs." Jalan Jun laughed as he spoke up to hear. He didn't continue and continued, "Grandmaster, you should know that my Jalan clan once fought for the position of the Lifefire Palace Lord. We naturally want to seize it back." Di Tian nodded lightly. Although this Jalan Jun's attitude was humble, when he spoke about the Jalan clan, there was an unmasked pride in his voice. "As for my uncle, we paid a huge price to nurture him into the position of the Lifefire Palace Lord. As long as he can sit there stably and not be used against by the Lifefire Palace, it's already sufficient. However, tens of years ago, he made a mistake that caused the position of the Jalan monarch to be in jeopardy. This caused many people in the clan to feel that he had let down the expectations of the clan." Jalan Jun transmitted his voice, he didn't say it out loud. He naturally had to take into consideration the Jalan monarch. Seeing that Jalan Jun could say such words to him, Di Tian couldn't help but feel admiration in his heart. If Jalan Jun was really just a grandmaster weaponsmith and didn't have the status of Qin Wentian, it would be very easy for him to develop a favorable impression of the Jalan clan. "My elder sis is out." At this moment, Jalan Jun suddenly spoke. Di Tian turned his gaze ahead only to see a group of figures walking over. His gaze instantly landed on one of them. This woman was clad in a snow-white dress and exuded an air of elegance. Her eyes shone brightly, her nose was straight and her lips were red. Her skin was like jade and her skin was like jade. She was like a celestial maiden that descended from the heavens. "Is she beautiful?" "My elder sis is known as the #1 beauty in the northern city regions. Even in the entire Lifefire City, there aren't many who can stand shoulder to shoulder with her." Jalan Jun laughed when he saw Di Tian's gaze. "She is indeed beautiful." Di Tian nodded, not concealing anything. This maiden was truly a supreme beauty, there was no way to deny it. Fairy Chuyue is truly more and more refined, like a celestial maiden from the heavens. Someone involuntarily praised. "Jalan Jun, do you still need to ask about how beautiful your elder sis is?" Zhou Zhou also laughed. In Lifefire City, regardless of Fairy Chuyue's beauty or cultivation talent, who doesn't know of her? Jalan Jun smiled and nodded. "Jalan Chuyue, Jalan Mingyue." Di Tian mused. Jalan Mingyue should be considered Jalan Chuyue's younger sister. Although they weren't blood-related, the disparity between the two of them was simply too great. Today is Chuyue's birthday. Everyone, I'm filled with endless gratitude for you all coming. A middle-aged man beside Jalan Chuyue smiled as he spoke. He was none other than Jalan Jun and Jalan Chuyue's father, Jalan Cheng. He was also the eldest son of the current clan leader of the Jalan clan. The old man standing between him and Jalan Chuyue was none other than the clan leader of the Jalan clan, Jalan Yuntian. "Chuyue is my most beloved granddaughter. Since everyone is willing to give me face by coming, it means that you're giving me face. I won't say anything more. Let the banquet begin, there's no need to feel restrained." Jalan Yuntian walked to the host's seat and sat down, allowing Jalan Chuyue to sit beside him. He had many descendants, and Jalan Chuyue had even more in this generation. However, Jalan Yuntian didn't hide the fact